Test, check 1, 2.
Everybody ready? Right down there? Okay. No, the first meeting of the month. First meeting of the month is the early one. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Glad to see the chamber's full. Our first responders here. It's very good. Welcome. Great to see you. Sheriff, good to see you. All right. We'll go ahead and get today's meeting in order. This is Monday, May 5th. This is the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners morning meeting, and it is 9:02 a.m. If I could have everybody stand for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And at this time, we'll take a brief moment of silence for individual prayer, reflection, or meditation. We take this time to honor and remember our first responders and the men and women in our military who keep us safe and protect our freedoms at home and abroad. And if you could also keep in mind the family of a local businessman who passed away this past week, Travis Sundell, and the tragedy that family is going through. All right, thank you again. Thank you, everybody, for being here this morning. We've got a few business keeping items to take care of. These are some modifications to the agenda. Item 7C, the land acquisition appointments that was in consent, is moved to 8C. This was added to the agenda, and this change was made and posted to the website on 4/29/25. Item 8B is we're going to need a consensus to move 8B down to public hearings, and it will go to 9C. 8B is appeal of a variance request from Raymond Royer, This item should have been listed as a public hearing, so I'll need consensus to move it to item 9C.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we move item 8B, quasi-judicial project number 2024110031, from 8B to 9C.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Hanson, seconded by Commissioner Carney. All those in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Also, item 9A, amendment to the floodplain management ordinance. Just want to let everybody know this is for the first reading of the ordinance. We will see it again on 5/19 for the final decision. Item 9B, the partial vacation of a portion of a plat for the drainage easement from Cheryl and Craig Armstrong. It's not listed there, but this is a quasi-judicial item, and we will require ex parte disclosure, so when we get to that. A few announcements for upcoming meetings. We have a workshop today at 1 o'clock p.m., and then our next regular meeting is Monday, May 19th at 5 p.m. All right, we have a few proclamations today. We're going to go ahead and get started with our first proclamation, which is Problem Solving Court Month, May 2024. And Commissioner Hanson will read that one for us this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A proclamation of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners recognizing the month of May 2025 as Problem Solving Court Month in Flagler County. Whereas problem-solving courts have been in restoring lives, reuniting families, and making communities safer for more than 30 years. And whereas problem-solving courts provide focus and leadership for community-wide partnerships, bringing together public safety and health professionals in combating substance abuse, mental illness, and other issues within the criminal justice realm. And whereas research shows that problem-solving courts improve treatment outcomes and do so at a lower cost than other justice system strategies. And whereas since its inception in 2006, 248 individuals have completed the requirements of the Flagler County Drug Court Program. And whereas 78% of program graduates have not been charged with any new felony offenses, and 87% have not faced any new drug charges. And whereas judges, attorneys, treatment and rehabilitation professionals, law enforcement, community supervision personnel, researchers, and educators join to form healing communities. And whereas the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners wishes to recognize the contributions of this problem-solving court program to better our community. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners that the month of May 2025 be recognized as Problem-Solving Court Month in Flagler County, and congratulate this year's drug court graduates. Adopted this 5th day of May 2025, attested by Tom Bexley, Clerk of the Circuit Court, and signed by our Chairman, Andy Dance.
Second motion.
Thank you. I have a motion by Commissioner Hanson, seconded by Commissioner Richardson. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Is there anybody from the 7th Judicial Circuit Court Administration? Yes, sir. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Commissioners. Joining me today is Shirley Olson, Chief Deputy Court Administrator, John Diagardi, Flagler County Drug Court Manager, and Michael Feldbauer with the Flagler County Drug Court Foundation. I'm Judge Totten. Judge Nichols normally presides over drug court here in Flagler County, but she had a sentencing hearing in another county today and asked me to step in. But I have had the privilege of not only presiding over drug court here, but also in other counties and participating as a prosecutor for several years. So I'm well aware of the value of the program. The proclamation speaks for itself with its success rate. So we appreciate you taking the time to recognize this program today. Mr. D, as everyone calls him, I know puts in a lot of hours and gives everything he's got in dedication and heart and drive to make every drug court participant a success story. And also, Mr. Feldbauer, of course, we could not run the drug court program without the support of the foundation. It's absolutely essential, and we are extremely grateful for their continued support. And of course, the support of court administration, which gets everything done at the end of the day, make sure that we have courtrooms and judges and participants and the day-to-day running, which the rest of us are not capable of doing. So we're appreciative of them as well. So thank you again for taking the time to recognize this program this morning.
Thank you very much. Anybody comments on the program? I just want to make sure that, I recognize and thank you for inviting me last year to speak at graduation. It was an honor, and spending the time to get to know all the players personally was very helpful in doing a little bit of research for that. So everybody was great and very accommodating.
I'm sure.
Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
First of all, I'd like to thank this board here, because if it wasn't the support that we get from the county commission and the county drug court would have a very difficult time in surviving. So you are definitely a part of who we are, and we thank you for that. And before I forget, our next graduation is July 10th. So if you would all please put that on your calendar, we'd love to see you there and enjoy the day and see the successes that we have, because it's the successes that we have that keeps us all going. And I think the more you see it, the more you'll have a better understanding of where your funds are going to, how well they're being placed and used. So again, we'd like to thank you for your participation. I say many times, and a lot of times when I get to talk, we're thankful for particularly 2 county organizations that are part of our drug court program. And that's you folks there, and of course, our sheriff's department. The 2 departments, the 2 county departments that are most active in the world of recovery in our community. So we thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Come on up, we'll get a group picture.
Have you hold this in the center if you don't mind.
You can come up if you want, or right here. Okay.
Right in front of
Right in front.
shift.
Up. To your right.
Yeah, shift down. There you go. There we go.
One more. One more.
I wanted to wear my derby hat today. Would have been nice in that outfit.
Good to see you all.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you.
Always
Thank you
good to
so
see
much.
you.
Thank you very much. See you at graduation. I'm sorry. Thank you for the invite. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, and see you July 10th. Thank you for getting that, making sure Rose has that on our calendar. 10 a.m. Yes, sir.
Oh, good. I was going to say the time.
All right, our second proclamation will be read by Commissioner Richardson. This is Correctional Officers and Employees Week, May 4th through 10th, requested by the Flagler County Sheriff's Office.
This is a proclamation of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners designating May 4th through 10th, 2025 as National Correctional Officers and Employees Week in Flagler County. Whereas the Flagler County Sheriff's Office, detention deputies, and professional support are correctional employees in Flagler County who form a core element of the public safety team in our community. And whereas our detention deputies provide security, supervision, and detention services for more than 3,000 individual cases during a calendar year. And in recent years, their duties have become increasingly complex and demanding. And whereas the Flagler County detention deputies serve a co-equal role with the law enforcement and fire rescue colleagues engaging in dangerous and potentially life-threatening situations daily. And whereas members of the Flagler County community recognize and understand the complex, dangerous, and challenging responsibilities carried out by every staff member of the Flagler County Inmate Detention Facility who are called upon to fulfill simultaneously custodial, supervisory, and counseling roles. And whereas each Flagler County Sheriff's Office detention employee accepts enormous personal and professional responsibility. Through the professionalism, dedication, and courage exhibited by these deputies deserve utmost respect. And whereas the work of the detention team is increasingly recognized and understood as a foundation of public safety in Flagler County. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners that they are hereby proclaim the week of May 4th to 10th, 2025, as National Correctional Officers and Employee Week in Flagler County. We encourage all our residents to join in recognition and appreciation of the outstanding service detention deputies provide for the safety and welfare of our community. Adopted this day, the 5th of May, 2025, attested by Tom Bexley, our Clerk of Courts, and of course, signed by Flagler County Board of County Commissioners Chair Andrew Dance.
Sheriff Staley, welcome.
Thank you.
Who you got with you?
Let me introduce this amazing team here. So, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chair, and Commissioners, with me today is Division Chief Dan Ingert, Chief Deputy Joe Brilli, and the amazing Bravo Squad in a detention facility. And only about 300 people a month get to meet part of our detention team. If you read between the lines, we make about 300 arrests a month. But they are truly the invisible heroes that, except for 300 roughly a month, never hear from, never see, unlike the law enforcement side. But they play an intricate part in the crime reduction that we've had in Flagler County, over 50%. They keep the inmates safe, they keep each other safe, provide security into the courthouse as part of their role, transporting the inmates back and forth for court hearings, and the list just goes on and on. It's an award-winning facility, accredited by the Florida Commission on Corrections Accreditation, and the medical side in the jail is also now accredited, and we comply with all the Florida model jail standards also. So you can be proud that the Sheriff Perry Hall Inmate Detention Facility is a top-notch agency, won national awards besides those accreditations that I mentioned. And it's because of the men and women that work that hopefully, and fortunately, most people in the county don't see them. Because that means they're on the inside and they're liable to be on booked first day in there. But they make the jail operate. So I commend our team here for the service that they provide. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for everybody being here today. Does anybody have comments for the sheriff?
Who's minding the store?
We have another squad that's making sure the inmates are behaving while the cat's away.
I was going to say innovative too. You guys, from what I read, are always pushing to update those standards and be innovative.
We are, and our most recent implementation was the scanning biometrics in the jail that you may have seen. And Channel 6 News, Getting Results, has found our jail and done multiple stories on it for the success that we're having turning inmate lives around, which prior to 2017, everything that we're doing in the jail wasn't there in there. So it's because of the implementation of the vision.
Well, great. Again, thank you for being here. Thank you
quick comment?
Yes, ma'am.
As part of the Parkview Church congregation, I'd like to thank the cooperation of having inmate services We see lots of them come back on Sunday mornings or Saturday evenings afterwards. And that little touch that they found by having that service in jail before they're released really makes a huge difference. So whoever came up with the idea or however you worked it out, you did a great service for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Andy, I'd like to add one final comment. Thank you all for keeping us safe and having our quality of life stay as primary and purposeful as we have because of you. And I really, truly appreciate it, each and every one of you, because you are the unseen and unsung heroes. And I know your jobs are hard. And I respect you all, and thank you for coming today. It's a sea of green, and it's a beautiful sight to see. Thank you.
It's the only legal gang in Flagler County. So thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you again. Come on up for a picture and receive the proclamation.
Who's holding? Chief. You should be holding that, right?
Can we get some of you guys on this end to go over there to add a couple, just balance all the help I can get?
Hey. Tall guys right here.
All guys in the back.
Tall guys in the back. You don't have to kneel.
All right.
One more. I think I had the, did you make the motion? Okay,
Can I make it now?
absolutely.
I move that we approve the proclamation for Correctional Officers and Employees Week.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Richardson, seconded by Commissioner Carney. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed? All right, great. Thank you for that. Thank you, Sheriff. Next proclamation is for Emergency Medical Services Week, May 18th through 24th. This is requested by Flagler County Fire Rescue Chief Tucker. Welcome, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Dance and members of the commission. It's good to be here.
And you have your crew with you today.
I did. We couldn't get up front because all the seats were taken. But we stood in the back where we're ready to spring into action at a moment's notice.
As always.
And today's proclamation will be read by Commissioner Carney.
A proclamation of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners designating May 18th through the 24th, 2025 as Emergency Medical Services Week in Flagler County. Whereas emergency medical service is a vital public service, and whereas the members of the Emergency Medical Services team are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, access to telemedicine, and whereas the emergency medical service system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, public safety communicators, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, training members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by recognizing Emergency Medical Services Week. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners that they hereby proclaim May 18th through the 24th, 2025 as Emergency Medical Week, Services Week in Flagler County. Adopted this 5th day of May 2025, attested Tom Bexley, Clerk of Court, and our Flagler County Board of County Commissioners Chair, Andrew Dance.
Go ahead and make the motion.
Make a motion.
That's okay.
I'll move to approve the proclamation designating May 18th through the 24th, 2025 as Emergency Medical Services Week in Flagler County.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Carney, seconded by Commissioner Richardson. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries, and welcome again.
Yeah, okay. Again, Commissioner Dance and members of the commission, it is awesome to be here. You know, we always love coming before you and the opportunity to brag about, Flagler County Fire Rescue. But in this case, the recognition of EMS Week is very important to us. The reality is the men and women of EMS do, amazing work. They are called on a daily basis to fill the gap. In society, people need more and more medical attention, and they're unable to receive it in many instances. But the one thing they know is that they can call the fire department, or they can call the ambulance service, or they can call EMS. So we step into that gap and fill that gap for a lot of people. Now our EMS call volume is increasing on a consistent basis of about 2 to 3%, per year. This last year we ran 19,500 calls, and probably this year we will cross the 20,000 mark. That is not a number that's going to slow down anytime soon, and this is something that's going on across the country. It's not unique to us, but the men and women that do this job do amazing work. I've been at this job for 40 years now, and when I became a paramedic a few years ago, somewhere back in the late 1900s, the industry was distinctly different than it is now. These men and women are doing things that I've never done before. We're doing clot busting, we're doing stroke alerts, we're doing cardiac STEMI alerts, and getting these patients into medical care facilities and bypassing some of the steps that we used to take, go directly into surgery and into labs to do preventative and long-term care. We're actively looking at the ability to administer blood in the field. That is a growing trend in the industry. Again, the men and women are doing stuff I've never done before, and it's amazing to watch them work. The hours that you've mentioned that they commit to becoming paramedics, the hours that they commit to staying paramedics and becoming proficient at their jobs. We've got some of the best, in the business. And I can say that with a fact because twice Flagler County Fire Rescue has been international champions, as paramedics, and they've been runner-up one other time. So they walk tall. They've got a little bit of a swagger to them, and they've earned it. But they can't do this without you and your support. So we thank you for the proclamation. We thank you for the, for the resources that you give us to do our job. And I am proud to stand up here as the leader of Flagler County Fire Rescue and brag about them. So again, commissioners, thank you very much for this proclamation.
Thank you very much, and likewise, we are very proud of all of you as well and the work that you're doing. So thank you. Anybody else?
Well, I would say I've had to use this service more than I care to admit in the past year, but I will tell you that you are a class act. Every person that's ever came into my home has been a class act. And I will say that I probably felt safer with y'all than some of the doctors I ended up with. So you've just been a wonderful group of people to work with, and I'm very proud of your group.
Thank you. I second that. You're an amazing group of people. Thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you.
I'm glad to see the profession growing. I'm from the 80s kickback, and it was totally different. We arrived on an automobile scene, and we bagged and wrapped and stuck them in the ambulance, and I just love seeing the professionalism and the actual progress that is made within the EMS community. So. Keep up the good work. We hear about you a lot, even though you probably don't hear about it in our comings and goings in the community, and we're very proud to say that we're supporting a great team.
I'm going to second that. I appreciate, you guys are on my block all the time, on my street for some reason, and I have a lot of those people that call you all the time. And I thank you for your service. It's really, really important. And you keep the community healthy, and strong, which I don't know any other service that does what you guys do. God bless you all. Thank you.
Looks like a couple were on call. We just lost them.
Today is it. We don't have another shift today. So,
Right.
yeah.
Well, thank you again for being here. Appreciate everybody. Come on up for a picture and your proclamation.
There he is. You're good. You're good. Stand up, Jason. Oh, you are standing. Hey, isn't that what they say, Jason? That's it.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You can come to my house.
Thank you. Yep, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thanks. Thank you for being here.
Congratulations. You guys. We love you guys.
Our next proclamation is National Travel and Tourism Week. This is presented by Ms. Amy Lakasic, our Tourism Director. I'll read this one as Ms. Amy comes up. This is a proclamation of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners designating the week of May 4th through 10th, 2025 as National Travel and Tourism Week in Flagler County. Whereas the travel industry is essential to the success of every industry and will continue to be a critical part of Florida and Flagler County's economy, quality of life, and workforce. And whereas travel is an economic powerhouse for every state and destination across the country with an economic output of $2.9 trillion supporting 15 million American jobs. And whereas travel spending supports vibrant and safe communities in Florida, Flagler County, and across the United States by generating $89 billion in state and local tax revenue in 2024 to help support essential services such as education, emergency response, public safety, and more. And whereas travel enables success for all industries, including manufacturing, agriculture, defense, healthcare, and more, by driving sales growth, innovation, education, and operations that power our economy, our nation, state, and local community. And whereas travel and tourism significantly affect the economy of Flagler County, supporting nearly 23% of total jobs, generating over $617 million in direct spending in local accommodations, restaurants, and attractions. And whereas America's travel industry cannot be globally competitive without maximizing growth in leisure, business, and international inbound travelers, increasing travel to and within the United States drives our economy to a more prosperous future and connects America. And whereas 1 in every 11 U.S. jobs depend on travel, making it a critical driver of America's economy and force for connection and opportunity. And whereas travel is an essential industry and we must continue to communicate that growing travel leads to economic growth, benefits businesses, fosters mutual understanding, and connects the nation. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners, we proclaim May 4th through 10th, 2025 as National Travel and Tourism Week in Flagler County and urge the citizens to join us in recognizing the critical role and significant contributions that tourism brings to Flagler County. Adopted this 5th day of May, 2025, attested by Tom Bexley, Clerk of the Court, and signed by myself. And welcome, thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll move to proclaim National Travel and Tourism Week in Flagler County, May 4th through May 10th, 2025.
Second the motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Carney, and I'll pick Commissioner Hanson for the second, since it was a tie. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Welcome
Thank you.
today.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair and Commissioners, for your wonderful welcome and celebration. You can see we have a uniform too, just like our previous groups.
James, where's
here.
yours?
I'm Amy Lukasik, and I'm the Executive Director of Tourism, and it's an honor to be standing before you today, but I'd also like to take the time to introduce my staff. I have Deborah Morgan, Christina Hutzel, Courtney Brokaw, Angie Davis, and James Fisk. And all these folks we're a small but mighty team, but very committed and dedicated to improving and bettering Flagler County as a community and to the tourism industry. And tourism in Flagler County isn't just about the numbers. We still have folks that find it hard to believe that people actually come here to vacation. But in lodging sales alone last year, we did $89.5 million in sales. And because of the work that we do and all of our partners, the heart of it all are the other people, the other hospitality workers. These are our servers, our front desk staff, housekeepers, our outfitters, parks and rec staff, the folks that work at our state parks, special event workers. They're the ones that are serving on the front line and provide exceptional service day in and day out. They truly are Flagler County's best ambassadors, and often being the first impression to our visitors. So as you are out and about this week and the rest of the month and year, and you come into contact with any of these folks, be sure to thank them and show appreciation for the challenging jobs that they have. Let's continue to invest and advocate, especially during these times, for this essential industry so that our community remains welcoming and competitive. So this week is not just about celebrating travel and tourism, but it's our commitment to keeping tourism in Flagler County strong, sustainable, and central to our economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And anybody comments for tourism?
Great job. Great job. You're everywhere. I see you everywhere. And I would like to know how a commissioner would score one of those shirts.
She orders for us.
We'll wear it well
Thank
out
you.
in the community.
Thank you.
So I just want to say kudos to Amy because I find her to be one of the most prepared departments with every information and right on it. And then I'm a little biased. You have one of my favorite people in the county on your staff, so that's it.
He's definitely, James is definitely that frontline worker.
He's spunky.
When people, yeah. He's right where he should be over at the Flagler Beach Historical Museum. He's the one who welcomes our visitors and, sends those recommendations and helps continue, to tell people about Flagler County and everything we have to offer. So, yes, special to James.
We have to mention the fact of all the money that you collect for great things in the county. The things we couldn't do if you didn't collect the tourist development and cause that tax to come in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shelley Edmondson does a good job collecting that tax. For sure.
And I don't want to leave out these two ladies up front here that I know so well. Deborah, the most organized person I've ever met in my life, and Christine, the kindest entry door lady ever, who answers every question, finds everybody help. What a great team you have, Amy. It's small, but quite mighty. And thank you for what you're doing for our county.
Yes, thank you for what people don't realize is that where we have our office is not a visitor center. We're a business office, but you would be surprised each and every day how many people just walk in and find us. A lot of times the Chamber of Commerce is sending people our way, and Christina serves each and every new resident, a tourist that happens to find us. She's fantastic, and somehow people find us on the third floor, but.
I was going to say a few words at the end about the Trails Day, but it's a good time too just to thank everybody for getting that kick-started our second year, and it's growing, and the residents that we did interact with definitely had fun and enjoyed it, so thank you.
Yeah, we saw a lot of new residents that day out at Waterfront Park, and people would approach our table and say, I'm new to the area, I just moved here, I'm new, tell me about this, tell me about that, and it just got us really excited because we know that there's such a need for that, and so when we do have the Eco Discovery Center, we'll be able to do such a better job than we are now. But it's incredible. People are moving here from all over. They find us and they love it here. So,
Right. Well, thank you again. I've got your proclamation for you. Come up for a picture.
Shuffle your chairs. These chairs. No. We should do this standing up all day. Yeah, there you go. That's where you go. Look at the organization. You see the organization skills? It's unbelievable.
Thank you, sir. Oh, yeah. Good to see you. And our final proclamation will be for Public Works Week, May 18th through 24th, 2025. This was requested by our own county engineer, Hamid Tabasian, and this will be read by Commissioner Pennington.
Yep, this is a proclamation of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners proclaiming May 18th through the 24th as Public Works Week in Flagler County. Whereas public work professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Flagler County. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public work professionals who are engineers, managers, employees at all levels of government and the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public's interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Flagler County to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public work programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2025 marks the 65th annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association and the Canadian Public Works Association. Now, therefore, the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners do hereby proclaim the week of May 18th, 2024 of 2025 as Public Works Week in Flagler County, and we urge all citizens to join the representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public work professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all. This is adopted the 5th of May, 2025, and attested by Tom Bexley, our clerk, and our chair, Andy Dance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead and do that. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the proclamation claiming that May 18th to 24th is Public Work Week in Flagler County.
And I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Pennington, seconded by Commissioner Richardson. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Welcome, sir, and welcome to your team.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm truly proud to work alongside our talented and committed Road and Bridge Public Works Department staff. It is an honor and a blessing to be a part of projects and be engaged in efforts that directly enhance the quality of life for our residents and to serve in a profession that makes a real impact in the community we live in and work in. On behalf of our entire department, I want to thank the board, our administration, Ms. Petito, for your committed and continued support and for recognizing the effort of our Public Works Department staff.
Great, thank you. Who do you have with you today?
Well, we got Assistant County Engineer, Mr. Zion, and our Road and Bridge Manager, Brad Bond, Liz Yates, who's great support there and can't do without her really with all she does, and the supervisor, Mr. Cox.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Appreciate everybody being here today. good words too on the proclamation. I mean, your support of all the infrastructure in the county is critical, so we appreciate the work everybody does.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
No, just a job well done, all of you. So it shows. Thank you.
Yeah. So I want to just take a moment to talk about them because I have a lot of you don't have districts, but we have, yeah. And they are really hardworking. And it took a while to realize just how overwhelmed they are. And if we ever get the chance to continue to support and grow your group, that's absolutely what we need to do.
All right, thank you. Come up and accept the proclamation, and we'll take a picture.
I got my glasses. Keep throwing those things around. Old lady glasses.
Thank you. And we're going to slide right into the Public Works update and presentation. So,
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve May 18th to
let's do that.
24th as Public Works
did
Week.
we do that?
I
Did we
think
do
we
it?
did it.
Did we do it?
Yeah.
One we missed, one
know.
we did double.
I think I said it. We didn't.
Okay.
Okay.
Did we do the proclamation approval?
Yes. Tiffany's like, I have confirmation on who did the motion and second.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Motion by, I know the motion was by
We didn't
Ms.
vote.
Pennington. So the second, Commissioner Hanson? Or was it you, Pam?
It was me.
It was Pam.
It was Pam.
All right, so I remember those two. So we'll just vote again. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. I thought we did that, but that's okay. All right, presentation, sir.
Yes, sir.
Welcome again.
Yeah, thank you. This is a great time to share the important work being done on the ground each day by our team. And with that, I would like the opportunity to again introduce Brad Bond to give us an update on everyday work that he does on the ground.
Welcome.
Morning. How do I get the slide thing? There we go. All right. Good morning, everybody. Once again, my name is Brad Bond, Road and Bridge Manager. So, going into a little bit of what we do, we maintain the roads and right-of-ways within the county that are unincorporated outside of city limits of our other municipalities. Our roads are drugged in a daily rotating cycle. We've got main roads that are done twice a week. Those are ones with heavier traffic, identified as bus routes and stuff like that. Our mowing cycle also follows about the same routine throughout the county, just mowing the larger areas of the right-of-way. We also have some tree trimming that we do with our sidearm mowers. That's a larger scale tree trimming service that we provide. That's during the summertime whenever we're fighting the grass that's growing, usually, that we can't keep up with as easily as we would like. During the cooler months, then we fall back with our smaller scale tree trimming crew, and we're able to address other areas. Through the strategic plan process, a priority was recognized on growth and infrastructure. The number one goal is to provide quality fundamental infrastructure and assets. We strive to meet this goal through the objective of expanding and improving our infrastructure by making surface transportation improvements, and secondly, by improving our budget planning and forecasting for these capital improvements on an annual basis. The asset manager, Liz Yates, and I report directly to the engineering department. Our supervisors report directly to me, and our operators report to their supervisor of the day. That means not all of our operators report to the same supervisor every day. They may have different tasks assigned, different areas that they're working in. So we try to divvy up the workload between the three of us and try to ensure that everything is done weekly as needed. So currently we're operating out of Building 5 right here on the county complex. We're looking forward to moving out to our new facility, which is going to be the Red Barn at the corner of County Road 305 and State Road 100. By making this move, it should ensure that we take a little less time to travel to the work site and have more time out in the field actually working. Our daily operations consist of mowing grass, larger scale with batwing mowers. We also have smaller scale with zero turns weed eaters, dragging roads, grading roads, cleaning ditches, and we have a sign technician who makes daily rounds throughout the county, cleaning, repairing, replacing signs as needed. He also addresses roadkill and patches potholes on the paved roads. Staff and equipment vary for all different applications. We've got paved roads, we have unpaved roads, drainage, and right-of-way. We have sidewalks that we maintain and take care of. I think I'm gonna slide ahead. Sorry. Nope, I'm not. So here are a couple examples of the equipment that we use. To the left, you see our amphibious machine that we use. That's for our larger outfall ditches that we can't immediately access off the side of a road or from a canal bank. So we use this so we can actually get into the ditch and clean it entirely. Our motor graders are used for daily grading operations, also used for reshaping roads as needed. Rubber tire excavator, we use daily for cleaning our ditches, for any kind of culvert replacements that we have. Our drag tractors are used daily. We generally have no less than 2 up to 4 of those running daily. And then we have our batwing mowers, which have the 15-foot mower behind it that we use for larger scale mowing on all of our roads. Some of the projects that we have going on right now, we've got the canal expansion project going on County Road 302 in Canal and also on the Firecracker Canal. We're looking to have sections of guardrail installed on County Road 304 where we have a couple areas that are lacking it. There was also a bridge on County Road 304 that was damaged due to a fatal accident that we're working towards getting repaired. And we recently got rumble strips installed out on County Road 302 and 305, the 4-way stop. So the canal expansion project, like I said, it's on County Road 302 and Canal Avenue, and also going to the Firecracker Canal. What they're doing is they're going through, they're removing vegetation and roughly 4 to 6 inches of sediment from the bottom of the canal, help with lower level water flow. So natural disasters. In the days leading up to natural disasters, we get a better idea of how much we're going to get impacted by the storm. Looking forward into that, we decide where we're going to stage our equipment, where we need to stage materials, just to be better prepared for our response after the storm. Here's a picture of a previous storm that we had, where this is Olive Avenue in Daytona North. Got completely cut in two from the level of water that came through. A culvert pipe failed, and there was roughly 4 or 5 residents, I believe, that were landlocked due to this. It took us about a day and a half, 2 days before we could even get a temporary pipe installed, just because the amount of water that was flowing through there. So to the right is just a picture of our temporary repair until the water level receded enough where we could come in and actually make a permanent repair, install more pipe. Another thing we do is road repair immediately after the storm. These pictures are of a FEMA-funded project where they provided us with shell material to come in and rebuild roads. We added roughly 2 to 4 inches of shell to the roads that were damaged, roads that were identified as needing it. We also help with the debris cleanup. One of the other things that we do whenever a storm comes through is we're one of the first ones out with the first responders, clearing roads, making sure that first responders can get to the residents in need. Afterwards, after we make our first initial push, we fall back and start cutting all the debris up, getting it stacked up for the contractors that come in and do all of our debris removal. Any questions?
Questions?
Just to, yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. On your bridge inspections, I forget the number that you had, but in addition to county roads with bridges, I'm sure we have state road with bridges. Do you coordinate with the state and make sure all the bridges are inspected and piggyback on possibly their expertise to make sure that we're meeting the inspection period that we're supposed to have?
Yes, ma'am. In fact, the department does the inspection for the county facilities as well. So yes, we are in coordination with the department, and they have a program and an annual inspection that they inspect and send us the report.
Thank you.
And do you have a budgeting god out there somewhere where we can come up with $30 million to pave those roads? Aren't we looking at about 30 miles of unpaved roads in Flagler County?
In Flagler County, we have 110
124.
miles of unpaved.
Unpaved.
Right, 110?
124.
120 unpaved and 112 paved, I believe.
Wow.
Right?
Roughly.
Just about there. So, yeah, this is really, we have great needs in our road and bridge program. Right now, we have approximately 250 million unfunded needs in the road and bridge. We have, like I said, about 100, almost 120 miles of paved roads. And if we want to resurface these roads every, say, 25 years, and currently, the cost of repaving each mile is about $2 million per mile. So right there, we have, we'll continuously $250 million that over 25 years, just to keep up with the current paved roadway system that the county is responsible for. And that, just rough order of magnitude, is $10 million just to keep up with the infrastructure that we got. Now, what he does and the road and bridge is just maintaining and the unpaved and minor work that needs to be done for the paved system that comes from the general funds. That is about $4 million per year.
I was wondering, are you the folks who do the 95 trimming? Or you're not part of that? Okay. It's just curious. All that big equipment, I see it all the time. Do you ever help with the cities or outside of the county at all with your equipment? Do they ever do any kind of trading or help with each other? Okay, I didn't know if I've seen that big tractor in the canal, the big, I call it the transformer, and you know it's coming because the birds all fly. So thank you for what you're doing. It's quite an amazing job. Thank you.
How much does Scrap and Scop aid you in your getting roads done?
Historically, it has been, we get about $4 million per year program by the...
Not enough.
Not enough, yes, sir.
And I will add on your presentation, as our Trails network continues to grow, we might want to add that to the presentation on the amount of miles of trails that the county maintains as well, in addition to sidewalks, paved and unpaved. So thank you. Anybody else?
I would just say that this department is overwhelmed. You could see that. That one picture was just a drop in the bucket, and we need to, as we further discussions about funding for all projects, we need to really tackle this. It doesn't get better, and they really are having to apply Band-Aids to big problems that they can't look to be solving with what the equipment they have and the manpower. They need more. So.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate the update and the report. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Again, these are really true unsung heroes, like we say.
Absolutely.
And we don't appreciate them every day, but I see how hard they work and in the cold and hot, mostly here. So we really appreciate them. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
all.
Our next presentation will be on the Residential Horticulture and Master Gardener Program. I think one of the group of people that have the most fun out there doing what they do. And presenting will be Miss Judy Jean, our Extension Agent 1 and Urban Horticulturalist. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you guys so much for having me. I wanted to let you guys know what I do and what I've been up to. So a lot of times people just think I just have the Master Gardener volunteers, and that's like 40% of my job. The other 60%, I kind of categorize into 4 main areas. Teaching residents how they can grow their own food at home, which does result in savings per person, and then within the first year, depending on what they're growing, and then also having nutritious food at home. And then the other part is reducing fertilizer, water, and pesticide usage. Why is that important to you guys? What's the impact? Part of the impact on that is that it saves cost, the monetary values of savings for utilities. And how I'm able to do that is partnering with the utility companies within Flagler County. So another important reason why water conservation is important, the deferred need for investments in additional water supply infrastructure, the reduction in household water and energy bills, which then results in the savings for the utilities that we see. In regards to fertilizer consumption, one of the reasons why we do want to reduce that consumption is due to the leaching of nitrogen that goes into our groundwater. The majority of the water that we get is from our aquifers, right? And so whenever residents misuse or misapply fertilizers, where does that go? It goes back into the ground, and that costs more money to try to treat that water and take that nitrate out. So currently, being on the job for almost 3 years now, my job, or one of the things I'm doing over the summer, is being able to extrapolate the data that I currently have to be able to calculate the pounds of nitrogen that have been saved, and then being able to give a monetary value of how much savings that has on the county and in the state of Florida as well too. And as well as doing fertilizer as well too, pesticide and water consumption. And on average, does anyone know the average gallons of water one person in Florida uses per day? I need a number. 30 gallons, both indoor and out.
No.
200 gallons on average. We're supposed to be at 100 gallons of water. And the majority of that 200 gallons is just on landscape, irrigation. So my job is to teach people how they can use less. And that goes back to the savings on the utility companies that we have. And so that's why it's so important. There is a program that we have developed across counties, Seminole County, Lake County, Sumter County, Marion County, Orange County called Water Matters, where we empower residents to save water, and we teach them how to do that. And we're also calculating how many gallons of water is saved in short-term, midterm, and long-term as well too. So that's part of my job duties too, is be able to collect that data to track that impacts. Another part of my job is I teach green industry professionals. I teach them, and so that helps with workforce development, and so they can be able to get a job having that license to either apply fertilizer, pesticide, continuing education to maintain those licenses for arborists and things like that. And within the classes I teach anyways, they get a 91.5% pass rate. So that is an A. So, and then also how I'm able to do all this fun stuff. I do have a podcast radio show called Let's Talk Some Dirt, which I like. I like it a lot, but I'm able to expand my reach to the county by doing that. So it does air on WNZF. Other things that I do, so alongside with my job is being able to recognize myself as a horticulturist and be able to present my work in front of my peers and colleagues to show them, hey, I'm doing good work and I know a little bit of what I'm talking about. So within the Southern region, within my professional associations, American Society for Horticultural Science, these are all the horticulturists in our country. I have been giving a blue ribbon, so that's the highest award for horticultural extension communication and turfgrass identification. Part of my specialties includes fruit production, and one that I don't like to mention a lot is turfgrass, because a lot of people will come up to me and like, hey, what's wrong with my grass? You know, but turfgrass is one of my specialties as well too. Within my Master Gardener program, out of all the counties, we were the best in our newsletter. We got the highest award in the state of Florida, and I may be applying for the country, like nationwide. Within our County Agricultural Agents Association, we also have to present our work too. So I did win an award for the episode, one of my episodes on Let's Talk Some Dirt, common myths and concerns in the livestock industry and how to eat lean beef on the holidays. So that was just on the state level. But then I won another award for on the regional level for the Southern region in the country. Again, and for the American Society for Horticultural Sciences, this society is so important just because it is recognized globally. So we have our peers that come and they critique our work. And one of the committees that I'm in is public horticulture. So public horticulture meaning our public gardens. What is the impact that's having? And that's really important because at the Extension Office, who's been able to visit the Extension Office lately? I know you have, yeah? I ask everyone, visit the Extension Office Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Don't come at 8 and don't come at 5, but 8 to 5. And the reason why I say that is because we have over 15 demonstration gardens, okay? And my master gardeners and myself took the time to actually construct these gardens to teach residents how they can grow these plants at home with the least amount of fertilizers, least amount of pesticide, and least amount of water usage. And within these demonstration gardens, my hope is to make the gardens ADA compliant, being able to work with local hospital groups, also having curriculum with each garden so that kids can come to the gardens and learn something, homeschool kids. We also are working with the Bunnell Elementary School. This isn't on the slides, but I'm a self-proclaimed berry queen, okay? So what that means is I know how to grow fruit really well. So we're gonna be planting a berry patch at the Bunnell Elementary School. So there will be blueberries that we're planting there. And alongside with that, wanting to work with veterans and things like that to show them the benefits of gardening as well too. So that's some of the things that we're doing in regards to public horticulture, and also being able to be a resource for other public gardens across the nation. and also leveraging those contacts to better help the public gardens that we have here in Flagler County. Also, I was selected for the Outstanding Leadership and Administration Award, Professional Early Career Award committee to be able to judge other colleagues of mine, which we all like to judge people, right? So, but be able to be on that committee. And then when it comes to the state of Florida, I am the Senior Central District Director within the 11 counties. So that's one of the things that I do. And then also, I did complete last year the American Society for Horticultural Sciences Leadership Fellowship that they have done. So that's a little bit of what I do.
Doing great work.
Thank you.
I love the professional development that you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I have to say you're an amazing lady. I know what kind of a job you're doing because I send all my customers to go over there and learn about our area. Number one. Number two, your positive energy explodes. And it probably will help when you teach the children. And what a wonderful award, list of awards. You are a hero and a champion yourself. So keep your energy going because it's really beautiful. And
Thank you.
you're doing a great job for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. I wouldn't be able to do that without the support of the county, being able to work with other departments to help push it further and teach residents what the science is so they can make an educated decision is my goal, or what I do.
Thank you for what you do. Thank you.
Judy Jean is a rock star. That's going to be the name of the movie.
Yeah.
So they come out with one. If I see her at an event, I'm sitting at her table because it's a good time. And she knows that. We've done that on several occasions. But you'll be proud of me. My grass is nice and crunchy. I'm not watering it. And but don't cancel beef or you lose me.
No, I love beef. I was like, we need to keep the beef.
Yeah.
So, yes. It was actually pretty interesting. I had other agents in other counties who work primarily in livestock talk about, the misconceptions about beef in general. So definitely, you guys can still listen to the episode. It's on Spotify. Let's Talk Some Dirt. It's the first thing that pops up currently. But definitely, thank you guys so much for your guys' ongoing support. And I hopefully the next time I present, I can be able to show some monetary value of the work that I do.
I've got a few comments before you leave. We can follow up. I don't want to take too much more time on these, but you talked briefly about conserving water. So one of the things I've been thinking about, especially with higher water utility rates in the county, is how can we improve water audits? If somebody wanted to come to you and say, I need to reduce usage in my home, what do we do to help them, and can we get that message out better?
Yeah, so I'm happy that you brought that up. So something that I'm working on is being able to do irrigation assessments. And so people can be able to sign up, and then I go out and assess their irrigation, because sometimes people don't know if a pipe is broken or if it comes on at 2 o'clock in the morning for 4 hours, things like that. So one of the tools that the University of Florida has is called H2O Save. And that program shows you everybody's water usage. And so my goal is to be able to provide that resource to all the high water users, and also specifically target those individuals to use less water, either by mailers. And currently, I have been able to get a hold of almost every water utilities company in Flagler County. And they're so excited to partner with me and move this project forward. So hopefully, one of the, setbacks is I'm only one person, so there's only so much I can do within 8 hours, but hopefully the partnership that we do together, we can be able to really help people and show people hey, you can have a beautiful landscape without watering it every day. I also do site assessments as well too. And you'd be surprised. I've had people come up to me and they're like, there's so many diseases in my landscape. And I'm like, no, you just water your lawn every day. And sure enough, they stop watering it. They call me like, Judy, my lawn looks beautiful. And I'm like, I know, so. So yeah, that's a good question.
The other one is with the new facilities we have coming up, right? My thought is every one of our buildings should be typical, landscape typicals for the residents to come so they can learn from all of our buildings the best practices for plants to use and irrigation techniques. So we need to work on that with our own internally with our own engineering staff and every time we have a new facility going up out on the west side, the fire stations should all be sample projects for Florida-friendly landscaping.
I would love that. And that's also another project that I'm working on too.
We didn't coordinate this at all.
Right? No. This didn't happen on purpose. Something that I'm wanting to do, or another project that I'm working on, is community gardens. Community gardens are so important because it allows people to be able to grow food with a community of people. And so that's something, a big project I've been working on, and I'm tying up the loose ends on that project as we speak. So I didn't want to say too much. But with that project, one big thing that I want to do is do garden tours. I don't know if you guys have heard of farm tours, but garden tours, one thing I want to do is take a day out of the year and have residents do a self-guided tour throughout the county to show all of our beautiful public gardens that we have at the extension office, where we can continue to teach them about how to save water and other resources that we have at the extension center. Not only do we have lawn and gardening, we have our Sea Grant agent, Carolyn. She does amazing work on our living shorelines. Laura with our family consumer science, and kind of showing how it all integrates together at the end of the day. So, but definitely, I want you guys to stop by the extension office. My blueberries will be ripe and ready at the end of May, early June. The peaches are coming in really nicely. The figs are looking good. Yeah, it looks really good. And the grapes will be ready in August. So definitely stop by. The blackberries are ready now. So that's what I eat for breakfast some morning.
And what time does your show come on? And what day?
So right now we're taking a pause
Okay.
with the radio show, but hopefully can get back on in August-y.
Do you need sponsors to keep that going?
Yeah. If you guys know some people, you can
Okay.
send them my way. So
And you can catch the podcasts on Flagler Broadcasting's website. All the past episodes are on there. and
Yes,
you can
please.
hear them at your leisure.
yes, please. I would ask everyone to do that and stop by the extension office at least once on the weekdays, 8 to 5.
Awesome. Thank you for presenting.
Thank you
How
so
about
much.
a picture? Come on up.
Yeah. Can someone take a picture?
And you can come up with us.
How do I get there?
Right behind.
Up there's a ramp.
Hang out.
Oh, she's great. Yeah, she's great.
out there. It's amazing.
Right here in the middle.
Come on.
Come on.
Oh my goodness.
Look at you. Okay, real.
One more, please. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Thank you. I've got one.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much.
Oh, one more. One more.
Oh, Karen's in.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, that's
Thank
getting
you
on
guys.
social media.
Right? Thank you guys so much.
So good to see you.
You too. Thank you so much. You guys have to stop by the office. Thank you.
We will. Thank you for all you do. You're wonderful.
All right. That's a great ending to our presentations. We are going to move on to our community outreach is the next segment. This is a 30-minute time period. It's been allocated for public comment on any consent agenda item or topic that is not on the agenda. So each speaker will be allowed up to 3 minutes to address the commission. Speakers should approach the podium, identify themselves And the floor is open.
We'll start the show.
Absolutely. Somebody's got to do it.
Someone has to do it. Okay. Hi, my name is John Siberis. I live at 47 Audubon, Flagler Beach, in the Sugar Mill Plantation subdivision. I'm here today to discuss actually what the road and bridge presentation really set the stage of what my request. I am the president of the Homeowners Association, so I'm representing the neighborhood. 2023, we noticed that our roads in our subdivision were cracking, starting to get really bad. Discussed with the Road and Bridge Department, and they came out and they said, yes, your roads are bad, but unfortunately, we have a tight budget, and that there's a heck of a lot more roads that need to be done, but we will put you on a list. Moving fast forward, with Hurricane Milton that took place, our roads really became deteriorated. The water was seeping through the cracks. It was lifting and sinking our road. We had major potholes throughout our neighborhood. Road and Bridge did come out. They agreed. The engineers were looking and working on it, and they noticed that, yes, they need to be repaired. They did some temporary patchwork. They said that they were going to try to get maybe some money from FEMA because of their tight budget. And unfortunately, I understand that FEMA doesn't have the money, or other things happen with FEMA where the county wasn't able to get this. The problem is we have 2.1 miles worth of road work that would be needing repair. I understand that, or the way I'm understanding it now, is that this commissioners were not aware of the dilemma that we have in our subdivision. I know that there's a lot to do with the unpaved roads and things of that nature, but we are a residential subdivision, and we want to maintain this, and we're asking that if someone could come out, take a look, or for you to be aware, and maybe to at least work on putting a budget together in the near future to have our roads to be redone. The problem is when we're going to have more rain, what happens is that pavement starts to sink, and you could feel the water underneath that. One of the things I did ask him is that I understand that the state of Florida had money given, or the federal government had money to give into the state of Florida. The state of Florida, DeSantis said that he was going to give some of this money back. And I'm like, is this some way that the Flagler County is aware of this and maybe could work on trying to get some of that money that was earmarked for maybe something else, but to put it towards our road and bridges for Flagler County, which would help immensely. Not to mention it would help Flagler or Sugar Mill Homeowners Association. It was so bad we participated a lot in the county. We helped the Sheriff's Department with the, time's up? Okay, all right. But please, Kim, if you have my number and all that, if there's anything more to be addressed or you need some more questions, be more than happy to answer. And thank you for your time, okay? Appreciate it.
Have you talked to our engineering staff?
I did.
Okay.
I with the engineers, and actually the engineers were the ones that actually came out and were doing all this patchwork. But the problem is when it rains, that water just comes up and destroys the patchwork.
Right.
So it's
If
major.
not, they were in the back, so I was going to have you just follow up with them and make sure they have your number and
I talked
everything.
to Liz, and they had guys come out, and I have names. I didn't want to talk, discuss names or anything like that, but.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. John Anderson, isn't it? No. O Kings? Okay.
Sorry, I left my phone here.
Mr. Chairman.
Good morning.
Commissioners. I am not trying to take anyone's time here, but I just came in regards to what's going to be on the agenda later. I had no intentions to displace anyone with the LAC situation, but I feel that I would be a positive contribution, and I try to.
We'll have you'll have time at that one. We're going to bring you up.
I know. I'm supposed to be working cows out there in the country, and I just didn't know. I just wanted to
Trying
put
to
it
get
out
back
there.
to work?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, this is the day that we work cows out of the whole year. We've worked cows 6 times, but anyhow.
Go ahead, finish.
I don't want anyone to be displaced. I realize that some of these people have been there for years and years, but, I want to contribute and I want to be involved. And so if you just take that into consideration, I definitely don't want to And maybe one of these individuals might be willing to, whatever, or something else. I don't know. That's it for me, though. I just want you to know, like, I had no intentions to try to anything like that. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Go get them cows.
He didn't.
Next public comment? Good morning, sir. Haven't been around lately.
I watch you on YouTube, so I'm around. Good morning, George Mayo, Palm Coast. First, when I went to look up the agenda for today's meeting, and they have a picture of the dais, and it's a picture of 4 men and 1 woman. I would like to see if the IT department could replace that picture to involve the 2 women who are now our county commissioners and update it so anybody looking in knows who our commissioners are. So that would
Good catch.
be very helpful. The other thing, a few weeks ago, I was out riding my motorcycle on a nice day. I had gone out to 17, come back down 305, and heading south on 100. And going north on 100, I'm pretty sure it was a Flagler County road grader going from one job to the other. Having been in construction, I know this equipment moves very slowly. This is nothing against the operator. He was over as far right as he could. He had nothing on the front to identify it. The problem with a lot of accidents are on 100, people are doing 50, 55, 60. These equipment can only move 15, 20 miles an hour. As I went by them, there were cars waiting to pass the road grader, and I looked, and on the very top of the cab, you have 2 flashing yellow lights. They aren't even LED. So now my question is, if the county, not only with the road grader, but any other slow-moving equipment, could put temporary LED flashing lights both on the back, on the bottom, because when drivers are looking, you're looking eye level. You're not looking up the top. That'd be like having the brake lights for a tractor trailer on top of the trailer. And on the front, if they could have something so that people would notice something coming up and there's disparity in speed and somebody may try and pass them. And, especially a motorcycle, people don't see motorcycles. And what we used to do in construction, the operator had the blade turned as far as he could, but usually in transporting, they put like a orange flag on the edge of the blade so that people can see it. So just trying to prevent an accident in the future, keep everybody safe. Again, the operator was doing nothing wrong. He was moving along as he could. But, possibly you could look into that. An easy fix is temporary LEDs. You could bungee on there or do something like that so as to make it more available for drivers coming and going. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for that. Any other public comments for today? All right, seeing none, we'll bring it back to the dais. Any comments from the board on any of the consent items anybody wants to make? Mr. Hanson?
No,
Mr.
sir.
Pennington? No? Okay, very good. So we, consent will be without, let's see, where we're moving.
7C.
Yeah, 7C. So 7C has been moved. So at this time, is there a motion for consent?
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Carney.
With the exception of 7C.
Well, we've
We've
already
moved it.
voted, right? It's already been removed.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Carney, seconded by Commissioner Richardson. Just to acknowledge 7C is gone. It's already moved to the back. And we've had board comments and public comments. Is there I'll call the question. All those in favor of approving consent signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, under general business, first item will be consideration of approval of state-funded grant agreement FM 987 between the Florida Department of Financial Services and Flagler County for the new administration Fire Rescue Station Facility Number 50, formerly Fire Rescue Station Facility Number 62. The construction is in the amount of $10 million. So Mr. Tabassian is coming forward.
Good morning, sir. This item is relative to our now fire station number 50. The headquarters, which is right across the street here. And this is for construction of the project in the amount of $10 million. Per our legal office, we were requested that bring this to your attention because we are waiving the sovereign immunity protection with this agreement, and Sean wanted to make sure that you're aware of that. Other than that, the project right now is in final stages of design, and our construction manager at risk is going to be bidding the construction project, and will be before you in August for approval of that, basically GMP, the guaranteed maximum price for construction of the project.
This is just for the approval of the grant agreement so we can receive the funds.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sean, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I just thought it was worth pointing out to the commission that this is structured a little different than the grants we typically see from Environmental Protection or the Department of Transportation. Our liability is sort of open-ended here. We won't have sovereign immunity protections. I don't think that's a reason to decline the grant. I just wanted to, go into this eyes wide open. If you were to ask me, I would say the risk is worth it's worth it to accept a $10 million grant from the state, but it is slightly different than what we're used to.
Is there a reason for that?
Well, it's just a different department. I believe this is their standard template. I don't know their rationale behind that.
Okay. All right. Any questions?
Now, I just on attachment 1, it talks about the services. There's also in there no extensions, so it's pretty clear that it's use it or lose it, correct? Yeah. So it's one of those timing issues, right?
Yes.
So just a comment, not a question.
Okay. At this time, I'll go out to public comment. Is there anybody in the public that wanted to speak on this item? All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission. Any final questions for Mr. Tabassian?
Just was wondering the time sensitivity. What's the time frame that needs to be spent? When would this expire in the event?
Yes, like I said, we'll be back here in August for the construction part of the project. That it would take a year. Basically, we have the project now anticipated to be completed in third quarter of next year.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agreement between the state and Flagler County for the funded grant agreement.
Okay, I have a motion by
I'll
Commissioner
second.
Hanson, seconded by Commissioner Carney.
Second.
All right, I'll go ahead and call the question. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, 8B is moving down to 9C, so we're going to consider the item that's been moved from consent, and this is the consideration of the Land Acquisition Committee Advisory Board appointment. We are going to select 2 members. We have a voting sheet, and these are, out of these 3 members, or 3 applicants, we're going to select 2 to serve on the Land Acquisition Advisory Board for a 3-year term to expire in May of 2028.
Good morning.
Good morning. Did I cover it all right?
You covered it. We're good to go. So.
All right, your name's on the sheet, so all you have to do is make your votes and hand them forward.
Okay, the tally is in. Susan Anderson gets 3 votes, Ann Wilson gets 5 votes, and Charles Coward gets 2 votes.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you, again, our rules require disclosure of the vote, so.
Right. So Commissioner Hanson voted for Susan Anderson and Ann Wilson. Commissioner Pennington voted for Ann Wilson and Charles Coward. Commissioner Dance voted for Susan Anderson and Ann Wilson. Commissioner Carney voted for Ann Wilson and Charles Coward. And then Commissioner Richardson voted for Susan Anderson and Ann Wilson.
All right, well, congratulations to those 2 have been renewed. Mr. Coward is on one other committee, right? He's on Park and Rec, okay.
I have a comment to make on this. I appreciate everybody who offers to join and work on a board. It's really wonderful to have our residents. On the other hand, I don't know if we have a ruling, and I'm going to ask legal. Do we have a ruling that you can only be active on one board? Or is that possible to be a ruling? I'm just asking.
We don't presently have that sort of rule. The board is free to make that type of a rule. If we had a board that had enough power and authority that it was considered a public office, I'd have to evaluate it, but perhaps our planning board members, for example, because they do financial disclosures, if you can't have 2 offices. But these advisory boards like Parks and Rec, that would not be an office. And at the present, we did not self-impose a rule that you're limited to 1 committee.
Thank you. I don't know if anybody would entertain the thought of that. I'd just like to see as much participation from our residents and constituents if they're interested in being a part of our county. I just surprised to see somebody that, put somebody on 4 boards would be a little wanky in my mind. So maybe it's something we want to consider at a future time. Or
I know we have, our requests have increased. We've done a better job of advertising the positions. They're more visible. And I know we've been getting more, there used to be a point where you were begging for people sometimes to be on a board, but we're getting plenty of requests. It might be something to consider in the future. Would that go into the rules and regulations?
Exactly.
The board rules, okay.
Well, Mr. Chairman, it's, in the application, it says, do you serve on any other boards? So we as a commission get to see that.
Yeah.
And individually, you can say, well, he's already on 3 boards, so I'm not going to vote for him this time. So it's within our capability as a commission to look at that and say, no, he's on too many boards already. So.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
I'm going to open up to public comment, and if there was anybody that wanted to have comment on that item. All right, seeing none, we'll bring it back. All right. So again, congratulations to Susan Anderson and Miss Ann Wilson as they are been renewed to the Land Acquisition Committee Advisory Board. Excuse me. All right, our public hearings. Our first one is legislative. This is a review requesting a review and recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners on the amendment to the floodplain management ordinance. This is going to be brought to us by Mr. Mangle, Growth Management Director. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Adam Engel, Growth Management Director. It's got a quick PowerPoint that will kind of cover all of our items, and this one's probably not. If you had a chance to look at Planning and Development Board's agenda that we had for their last meeting, then you maybe had a precursor of what this was. This is a request from the state for us to make a few minor changes, mainly in how we handle mobile homes. And so when you look through that, strike through and underline is the format that we've done for these changes. And so that we made those changes. It's related to how the frame on a mobile home is counted as far as a freeboard requirement. And so this ordinance does that. This is a prerequisite for a Class 8. For reference, we are at Class 6 right now, and so we're hoping to go to a 5, but this is something they were saying that if we didn't do this, then when it comes time for us to renew next year on what's called a cycle renewal, we would not then cycle at 6. We would actually revert back to an 8 or potentially worse. And so remember in how the numbers work, lower number, bigger discounts to our constituents and the folks who have flood insurance. So with this, because it does change the list of seemingly permissible permitted uses within zoning districts, we do have it advertised for 2 readings. This is the first reading. You would then approve it on first reading. If you do that today, we'll come back on the 19th for the second reading and adoption. And I'm here for any questions you have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Mangle?
Please. Mr. Mangle, does this ordinance impact the cost of affordable housing? Remember how affordable housing wants to be notified when any new rules or laws are made? Would you consider it an impact on affordable housing?
Yeah, I probably could say it's going to require additional freeboard in some instances. I think most of what we've seen so far is that because you already have the mobile homes are on blocks where they're happening in these flood zones, they're already high enough. So I'll broad brush it and say I don't think it's going to have much, if any, of an impact. But if you look at it on its face, it's requiring extra elevation. So the short answer is yes.
So would you disclose that to the Affordable Housing Committee or send somebody a message?
Sure, I could do that.
Joe's here now. Yeah, okay. So just so that we can look like we're playing in the play box.
Sure,
and
we can
getting
sure
it
do
all
that.
done.
And I think it's pretty clear to everybody we have no choice with this one, but I understand.
Okay. And then on, I know the area where we allow mobile homes, or the majority of the area where we allow mobile homes, they're like 1 acre lots, so this is probably a redundant question, but is there surrounding lot area impact by raising?
No. And one little caveat I will add to that, just for the folks who are sitting at home who are in the areas that aren't the 1 acres, there's some out in the hammock that we have. That's areas MH1 right in Johnson Beach. And those are certainly smaller, but I would answer the same for those, that these would not have impacts on their neighbors. If anything, the extra elevation will help. And then these cannot be elevated, in the case of mobile homes, or typically are not elevated by extra fill. It's always the blocks underneath it that increase the elevation of the frame.
Of course, you can't go back. I mean, it's only on new construction or new sites.
Yes, ma'am.
So somebody who's not in that plane would still be okay if it's properly built at this point?
Correct. Yeah, because
it won't affect our numbers either, right?
No, that's
okay.
right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And potential additional costs on either stairwells or ramps if it's additional elevation.
That is in play also.
Right.
Yes, very much so.
Okay. All right. At this time, I'll open up for public comment. If anybody in the public wishes to comment on our first reading of the amendment to the floodplain management ordinance. All right, seeing none, we'll come back to the dais. Any final questions from Mr. Mangle on this? All right, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify with aye.
Well, we need a motion, sir.
Oh, I thought I had one. Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt first reading of the floodplain management ordinance.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hanson, seconded by Commissioner Pennington. At this time, I'll go ahead with the vote. All those in favor signify with aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, sir.
Thank
See
you.
you back next month, 2 weeks.
Yes.
All right, 9B, this is going to be quasi-judicial, adoption of a resolution to vacate a portion of the plat of the Plantation Bay Section 2AF Unit 8 consisting of a 7.5 foot wide drainage easement. As quasi-judicial, is there any ex parte communications from the board?
No, sir.
No.
Okay, and none from me. And Mr. Mangle, yours again.
Thank you, sir. So here's how the parcel is laid out, and you can see the boundary line, and this is north is at the top, give you the orientation. Boundary line between lots 13 and 14. And if you could envision, and you can probably see just a bit of that, right there, if you looked on the aerial at where the roadway connects, there's actually an inlet structure there. There's a pipe that's installed. And so this is different than maybe some others that we've had in the past where we've had a blanket easement set up by general notes on a plat. We go through and we say side reservation, utility and drainage on these lot lines. There's actually a pipe here. So I wanted to make sure you knew that. You'll see it in greater detail on the plat itself. And so where the other lots don't have that, or maybe it would be just covered in a general note, this one has that specific 7.5 foot wide drainage easement because there's an actual pipe that's there. Inlet then leads back to the pond. But the caveat here is that it's a very minor incursion into that. And so how this happened? How did we get to this point? You can see that how it narrows at the back. Their plan submittal had originally come in and said, we're fine, we're going to meet all the setbacks. As you can imagine, when it came in, and this is that detail from that final survey, and how we count pool decks. Pool decks are part of the pool, an extension of it. You can put a screen room on top of it. It's part of that logic that we have with that. As you can see there in the inset off to the left on this detail, where it's just a very minor incursion of the deck into that 7.5 foot wide drainage easement. So minor, in fact, that we were kind of talking as staff going, why are we even bringing this to you? But because it is an incursion, it's an improvement, a private improvement into a drainage easement, we have to get the board's permission in order to vacate just this minor portion. So while it looked maybe more controversial, maybe, or at least as if we were doing more, we are certainly within that 7.5 foot wide drainage easement, but we're not vacating the entirety of it, only that portion. And the resolution that's attached only addresses that small triangle that you see in the inset in the detail. No more of that drainage easement is being vacated. The HOA came back, said they've got no problems with this. Utility providers, to the extent that they had any claim here, and they didn't because it was a drainage easement, it's only the HOA because the HOA is responsible for the maintenance of the drainage. The utility providers came back and said they had no problems either. They consented to it. All taxes are paid in full. Again, that's really not relevant here either because it's a drainage easement for an HOA, but that's part of our requirements for a plat vacation that you would review. And so with that, we prepared the resolution. We have a recommendation that the board approve the resolution attached to this agenda item, vacating in part the 7.5 foot wide drainage easement on lot 13. With that, I'll close. Wait any questions or comments from the board.
I have a question, Adam.
Go ahead.
Are we holding liability on that in the event that they need to? I've had a home built over an FB&L easement with a pool. This is a little bit uncomfortable in my mind in the event that there is some need for them to have to dig up part of their pool. Are we responsible, or their patio?
I'd say in this case, I can't anticipate there being an impact because it is so minor and it doesn't encroach. The remaining area that's within that drainage easement, in my opinion, is still sufficient for them to work within that for a pipe replacement. You can see here at the top, the pavers, the stone pavers that are in the easement, that's something that those can be pulled up, and those we would typically allow because we would consider them to be where they're on a sand base. Those are going to be pulled up. They'll do their work. They'll put them back. But with this one being the amount of the encroachment that's there, I think I'm confident in saying there should be no impacts.
So the deck is solid concrete, or it's all pavers?
I believe the deck is concrete.
Right. And that pipe is below that deck, right?
The pipe would actually be in the...
Or to the west side of
It'll
it?
be in the center, it'd be to the west of that. And so that, even trying to get a backhoe in there, you're going to have enough room. You won't have an encroachment there.
I've just been through this once before, and it was a nightmare on a survey, so
I wouldn't say it so confidently if we didn't have so little of it within the...
I just want to make sure we're not liable for it.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Understood.
It's basically 2.5 inches.
It's so minor. And everyone's been kind of asking us why, but it is an encroachment.
It's always a game of inches when somebody owns property. Been through 2 inches of, an inch and a half of a pool deck in Miami lawsuit. Yep,
Yes.
happens. I just want us to be relieved of any liability from that.
Very much.
Any other questions? All right, we'll go out to the public. Is there any public comment on item 9B on the vacation of a portion of the plat of Plantation Bay? Do we need to call? Is the applicant here? Okay. All right. We'll close public comment, bring it back to the board.
Chair, I'd like to, have we made a motion?
Have not.
We're on that kind of day. I'd like to make a motion to approve item 9B, considering, that went quick.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Pennington, seconded by Commissioner Carney. With no final questions, we'll go ahead and call the question. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. We'll move to 9C, which is also quasi-judicial. Request for an appeal of the Planning and Land Development Board's decision approving a variance from the minimum required setback. And this is quasi-judicial. Is there, I need disclosure of any ex parte communications?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
And I have none. Mr. Mangle.
Thank you, sir.
You have the floor.
This one's a little unusual for us. We've had some appeals here recently, but they've been by neighboring owners or affected property owners. This is the property owner that was granted the variance. And show you what that property looks like. It is a lot of record. It is owned RC. I had meant to put this into the presentation, but I didn't, so I'm going to read it from the order. And the order is part of what your packet includes, the order from the planning board's meeting. We had initially considered this at the planning board in January 14th, and then it was continued over to the February 11th meeting for the owner, Mr. Royer, to go through and look at some considerations on the pool and pool deck. And all this activity is happening on the west side of the property along Mockingbird Lane, as it's shown here. And so from the order, the variances that were considered as part of this request, 25-foot street side or west yard setback variance from the minimum 25-foot street side setback for a pool and pool deck, a 3.49-foot rear north yard setback variance from the minimum 10-foot rear setback for a pool and pool deck, a 23-foot street side west yard setback variance from the minimum 25-foot street side setback for a pump house. And let's see what else I have here. And a 0.82% variance from the maximum 35% lot coverage in the RC zoning district. So out of that list, all those were approved, but there was a condition placed on the approval that the pump house itself, which was last stated was going to be in that kind of southwest corner of the property, would be behind a fence or wall and walled in area of the pool and pool deck, and with its height not to exceed 4 feet. And so specifically, that's what Mr. Royer is appealing, is that height limitation. And so you'll see here, this is the lot, the area of the lot. It does include just a bit of 16 at its north end into its boundary. This is how it's platted. And you can see the note here. I included this note because this was on the face of the plat, not in this spot, but the private streets are only dedicated to the exclusive use of the lot owners in this subdivision. This came up at the hearing of, who controls the roads? Where is the road? If you look back here, Mockingbird Lane is actually shifted far to the west of the right-of-way according to the property appraiser's aerial here with us. Now, it's not a survey. But I think that's fair to say that there is an extra area of greenway, non-paved roadway surface that's not within the right-of-way immediately adjacent to where this pool and pool deck would go. So that you imagine what's happening here. You got the right-of-way, and instead of having the roadway surface in the center of the roadway, instead of the center of the right-of-way, it's actually shifted over to the west. Privately maintained here at the moment. You've seen Mr. Royer, I think, at several of your meetings. I think he's made comments on the record previously. He certainly made comments at our planning board meeting about having these taken over by the county. That's something that can certainly be considered a separate request in time. You can see here to kind of bolster what I'm providing to you in testimony here is that the limits of the home, the concrete slab that's there at the west side, the 12 by 21 that's existing. And so then you had this activity then happening on the west side, Mockingbird Lane limits within the right-of-way as shown here. And then this generally was what was submitted with the application for the variances. So we take that pool deck to the property line, pump house being considered and requested to extend to the property line limits to the west-hand side. Planning board, and I think Mr. Royer had actually agreed to have that shifted over some 3 feet. So that's why you had the 23-foot variance, I think was what we had stated there. And so it wouldn't actually be sitting right on the line itself. There was some talk also about a 6-foot wall or 6-foot fence. 6-foot wall would be permitted. I believe you had correspondence from Jackie O'Connell that we received today. And so caution there. You are to review this in a review of the record. I think there's some new evidence that's being presented there. One of the statements that Ms. O'Connell had made is that she took umbrage with our notice, and our notice is identical to what the item for variance was originally noticed for. And so we provided notice on April 21st consisting of signs and letters. That was completed. That is the last item in your packet related to this, and shows that we had provided that. I think she said the notice date was Easter Monday. That's not a legal holiday for us, and so we did meet our requirements, same as we had for the original variance. She did speak on the record previously. You can see mention of her testimony. You can certainly read her email if you'd like to read more of that. She wanted me to emphasize that she had submitted that. She wanted to be here had she received additional notice, which we did meet the minimum requirements. Here's that shifting over that I mentioned, and this should have been the last drawing that had come in for February 11th that shows, this is what Mr. Royer had submitted, again, that grade-in area of the concrete slab being the extent of what's presently on the property. That would be incorporated in some way with the pool and pool deck. But the limits then being, if you see that line that says 13.6, kind of just to the right of center, that's the front of the home. And then you have that marker that says 18.78 to its left to the west, and that's the line that runs from the southwest corner of the home directly over to the property line itself, adjacent to Mockingbird Lane's right-of-way. And so you've got 18.78 feet to work within. He's showing with this drawing, the entirety of that will be pool deck. The pool and pump house will be set back 3 feet from that west property line, the west lot line for his property. No front setback variance needed from this, from the road to the south, because it's lining up with the front of the home. That's 25 feet there, and it's sufficiently back. It's at 27 feet. This also is part of Mr. Royer's submittal, where he was showing how it lined up with other features of the home, and I think this was to show how the breakout was for the windows. This was provided that if a pump house was there and abutted, one of the discussion items we had at the January meeting was if the pump house could be pushed further to the east and could abut the home, well, that would take up the area. I think Mr. Royer's testimony was it would take up that area where the window is. And so what Tia provided testimony is that the pump house would not just handle the pump itself for the pool, but also handle any deck chairs, any materials that he would have on the deck. In case of inclement weather, he could place them in the pump house and have them protected from the elements. This, again, as I recall, provided in the record to show that it was not possible to push that pump house due east against the home. This is a view Mr. Royer provided in his presentation along the rear side of the home. And so you see that concrete slab that we were talking about to the right, and a bit of that, and then it shows the eaves and the guttering, and then the guttering being directed away from the home. This is mainly just facing along that north boundary. You're facing due east here. The part of the pool and pool deck would be to the right-hand side out of the picture. So with this in an appeal, you're reviewing the prior record. We provided the minutes to you. We provided Mr. Royer's application in its entirety. We provided, let me correct that, the minutes in part from both the January 14th meeting and the February 11th meetings. And so you've got some record of the deliberations that the planning board had considered, remembering that the final criteria that we have in consideration of variances is that the amount of relief that's granted has to be the minimum relief necessary. And so this implication then that the 10-foot tall block structure from Mr. Royer's standpoint was the minimum that he would need in order to utilize the structure for its intended purposes was, in my opinion, and I think is reflected in the order by the board, determined ultimately not to be necessary to meet the requirements then for his usage as a pump house. And so that the 4-foot limitation placed on it by the planning board was in reaction to the public comment that was provided. And I think just the notion that in that final criterion that it's not, he didn't demonstrate that it was the minimum relief necessary to correct the situation. In his appeal, he stated that bottom language that you have here quoted, pool pump house also included in the staff report, pool pump house shed is submitted is denied and granted for a 4x4x4, which is possible to house my required equipment being purchased. The pump house was a 72 square foot block build, and after legal counsel, I might wish to upgrade to a 92 to 101 square foot building. County adding 10-foot setback. This application is overreach on the River Beach subdivision covenants, 1959, and our community to revise as mentioned in state statute 2022. Ms. O'Connell also mentioned in her email covenants and restrictions. For the record, I think you already know this, covenants and restrictions are important, but they're not enforced by us. They're privately enforced. If there's a restriction, as Ms. O'Connell had said, that there's a 4-foot height limitation on fences, great. We have a 6-foot height limitation in our regulations. And so if somebody wants to go and handle that privately, they can certainly do so. And so the statement here, just the same from Mr. Royer about violating covenants, not saying it's falling on deaf ears with us, but it's not of concern to the county. We included this statement in the staff report, and I thought it was good enough for me to include it here as well. And so this then, I think, drove home the point that the planning board in their deliberations came back and said that height limitation was necessary. And so that I think this really touched on planning board's deliberations, their intent with the imposed condition to ensure that variance granted was the minimum variance necessary to alleviate the hardship, space for a pump house, but arguably not for lawn furniture. Remember this from the last appeals we've had. I've included this slide. This is the precondition in the consideration of your review of an appeal. You have to make 3 determinations. Whether the Planning and Development Board's decision was supported by competent substantial evidence, whether due process was accorded, whether the essential requirements of law, primarily the 4 criteria for variances in the LDC, have been observed. And then with those in mind, we've got the recommendations for you, and you have to choose one of the following. Approve the appeal request overturning the Planning and Development Board, approval of the variances, and then you're ultimately overturning the decision of the Planning and Development Board's condition to limit the height of the proposed pump house to 4 feet. Second option for you, a little contrary again, because remember you're hearing this as an appeal. Deny the appeal request, upholding the Planning and Development Board's decision. That will keep the height limitation in place. You're affirming their decision with option 2. You say Planning Board is made the correct decision, made the correct conclusions of law, and you affirm their decision. Third option, remand it back to the Planning Board to correct some deficiency that comes up through our process today. So again, as we've laid them out, the first one would be to approve the variance appeal, and that's option 1. That would effectively overturn the Planning Board's decision. Second one would be to deny the appeal request, maintain the Planning Board's decision as expressed in the order, or the third one would be to remand it back for some additional action. With that, again, I'll close, wait any questions or comments, maybe turn it over to Mr. Hadid, if he has anything to add to buttress anything I've made as far as the statements and your findings, your direction from both myself and from the county attorney's office. Thank you.
Yeah, I think just a reminder of when we last had the appeals from the special exceptions, the process is the same as we act as an appellate, so just clarifying our role.
Correct. But also the reason why you're hearing me speak and come down for this item is because Mr. Moylan represented the planning board, and due process does not allow him to advise you about the validity of his advice to the planning board. So I am independently reviewing this. As far as your question, everything that Mr. Mengel stated is correct.
And we're not to acknowledge new evidence. This is based on what was presented at the planning board.
That's correct.
Okay. So questions, do we need to hear from the applicant as well? So at this time, we'll open up the podium for the applicant, Mr. Royer. How much time do we set? Okay. Morning, sir.
Good morning. My name is Raymond Royer, Painters Hill Subdivision. Our subdivision is called River Beach Subdivision. It was created in 1959. I had my property surveyed, and when I had the property surveyed, if I could get the video up here, it was done by Stevens and Wilcott. What happened later on during my hearings, after my hearing was denied, I found out there was a conflict of interest with my survey, trying to conduct more surveying within our community because our roads are actually installed wrong. I also want to clarify that I never said a 10-foot wall. That was done by one of the commissioners stating that in a confusion as we cleared it up, it was an 8-foot wall that I was trying to build. After being denied, I went right down to the zoning and planning, and on 2/13/2025, I was given this statement that I was never given through the whole process of the shed permitting policy. And there's 3 different steps of square footage. Well, I fall in step number 2, which would be in the up to the 100 square feet, 61 to 100 square feet. So that discussion never was brought up in the, I believe, in the workshop or anything, because originally I was going to build a larger shed, and we were going back and forth there. I tried to accommodate the other hearings, and was going to possibly push it to the north side of the wall. And that photo that he showed there was plywood applied to that side of the house, and that's why when he showed the rear of the house, that side of the house was also plywood, because that used to be an outside porch area, so it was enclosed. So I didn't want to put a structure against the house there, because, you know, with termites in here in Florida, if I put a permanent structure there, I would have to tear that structure down to repair that area. So I tried to accommodate as I was going along. Like I said, I did talk to legal counsel, and he advised me that I'm within my rights to have this building here installed, because I'm dealing with hardship, and that's the reason I applied for this. These setbacks are done with a 9,000 square foot property. My property is only 7,500, So when you apply those numbers to a 7,500 square foot property, yeah, I got hardship issues. So that's why I applied for the variance and asking for only on the roadside would be the variance needed. For me, going a little larger, I would fall within the variance. I wouldn't need a variance because from the house off of Pelican Lane, I only need 25 feet for a structure to be built, and my house is actually built 27 some feet back. And if you look at my structure, my garage actually approaches that. Now, this house was built back in 1979, and the reason I'm showing all this paperwork here is to show you that, county boards approved, our subdivision back in 59, and then we got all kinds of issues in our subdivision. They tried to organize to develop an HOA, and I let them know there's no way we can do an HOA because over time, if you see all these orange structures that I posted, this orange went between 13 and 18 is my structure. I took 10 feet, but that house is still buildable. That's still a buildable lot. All the rest are not buildable lots anymore. They encroached on other properties. Property number 20, I don't know how it was possible. My legal advisor said the same thing. Doesn't know how that property was annexed over to the adjacent northern subdivision. He doesn't know how that was possible or legally done because you can't annex a property to another subdivision legally. So a lot of these properties were subdivided. I had two complaint properties, number 22 and number 12. Either one of them are not even full-time residents. 12 has been up for sale for 5 years. Her mother passed away, and so she's not even a full-time resident. And then 22, they're also part-time, seasonal, probably 4 months out of the year you see them. And then 17 was subdivided. So we're supposed to be 24 properties. We're a private road. And with all these properties being divided, we have a problem trying to make collections. Well, I'll have property 12 and 22 say, when we try to get the shares out of 17, say, oh, they're vacant. They're not considered properties anymore. We can't build on them. Well, it just, and then just to make it clear, I never came to the county to ask for you to take over the roads when I'm asking you to assist us because we have utilities in the way. I've tried to call P&L to handle pine trees. I used to cut my pine trees, but now the FPL pole, the pines are actually in the power lines, and it's unsafe for me to go up there anymore. But it's impossible. I tried to call FPL. I can't get anything done. So that's where I'm at. So I didn't want to get off board with all that stuff, but again, I think I fall within my lines. Now, I had one more hearing that was supposed to be granted to me. I was supposed to have 3 hearings. So if you want to kick it back, I have no problem kicking it back to, the planning. But we need clarity on my setbacks for the roadside that I'm trying to, the west side of the thing. Because, again, like I said, I only have 7,500 square feet. And that's the problem. And again, the reason I was building this structure, I have photos too. Let me show you.
We shouldn't be looking at anything new anyway.
Yeah, you're not looking. These are just upgraded photos. I was told by my legal advisor.
Because new evidence isn't permissible.
It's not really new evidence.
Well, if the planning board didn't see it, then we shouldn't see it.
It's just photos of the house. Okay. All right.
Am I correct, Mr. Hadid? Or would you like to clarify?
That's right. Anything that was not presented to the planning board, you may not consider.
Okay.
Well-
And just to clarify, the appeal, and again, heard all of the testimony that you said, but the appeal is just on the height, the 4-foot height. Is that the one and only thing we're considering at this point? That's the way the agenda item and the staff report is presented.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, unless I read it wrong, he got approval of everything else.
Correct.
And all we're doing is voting on the pump house, the 4x4x4. That's it.
Really just the height.
Yeah, just the height. Okay.
As I understand it, the appeal was for the height. Okay.
Sir, you said 8 feet.
Say again, ma'am?
Did you say 8 feet or 10 feet? What was
Well,
presented to the
this
planning board?
discussion, the original discussion was it was supposed to be 9.7 for a height of the peak. That's where we got the confusion between the parties here, and we finally cleared it up. I was under the impression when we were talking about height, I was talking about the roof peak. So we went back and forth, and we finally got that cleared up. Again, I was trying to build a structure, and the reason I'm building this pump house because I'm having a custom pool built. I used to be a Navy Star swimmer. I want to get back in the pool. I want to get healthy again. I used to swim in the public pool behind Winn-Dixie, but that closed. I know that YMCA is going to open up soon. So, but I'm going to have a pool built where it's going to have a couple pumps added to it for the jets, so I can swim in the pool. And then I'm going to have jets, for this, like a sauna side of the pool. And so it's going to have it's not going to fit in a 4x4x4 structure. And I also want to keep it my pump system. Since I'm going to spend almost $10,000 on this system, I want to keep it out of the sun. I want to keep it out of the weather. So that's the reason why I'm trying to build a structure that I submitted, and I try to accommodate. And so that's where I'm at.
So again, it's 8 feet or 9.7?
It depends. Again, I got two here I could show you that fall within the realm that was evidence that are actually the prior arguments that we had earlier. I could show you those. I mean,
Well, from listening to the planning board meeting, it was an 8-foot. It was an 8-foot structure that you were adding a sloped roof to.
Yes,
The tip of
yes.
the slope roof was the 9.7.
Yes.
But the wall of the structure was 8 feet. It's just that the slope of the roof pushed it up higher than that to 9.7.
Yeah, that's the argument. And when we had discussions, I was told to put a Rubbermaid, and I'm like, a Rubbermaid. I'm going to spend all this money, and I'm going to put a Rubbermaid structure in there. I mean, like I said, I'm building a block. My house is block. It's going to be the same pitch as my roof. It's going to match the house. And I never went to go 6 feet with the wall. It was always 4 feet because our covenant says 4 feet walls only. We had a lawsuit back in 2009 over the 4 feet issue, and that was resolved. So we have a 4 feet restriction for walls. Any structure like that. So
and just to clarify, again, this was a point raised at the planning board, and the exhibit you showed was about aftermarket sheds, the Rubbermaid sheds, which are permissible but still have to comply with the setbacks, still have to comply.
Correct. That was correct.
And still have to comply with HOA rules.
Well, we don't have an HOA.
Or those covenants and restrictions. Yeah. But I didn't remember hearing anybody tell you that you should install one. They were just using that as the comparison of what's typically allowed if you didn't have the limitations on setbacks.
Well, if you want to say it that way, yeah. I mean, I looked at it being hideous. I mean, everybody else was saying that my structure is going to be huge. I was going to go to a structural engineer to have him design it for me, and he said it's a waste of time. I mean, he's got bigger things. I mean, this thing's too small to design. It's nothing I'm building. It's nothing unusual. There's plenty, like my legal advice that I got from attorney in Orlando. He said to me, we could probably go a mile circle around here and find other structures that are secondary structures. They're probably bigger than what you're trying to do. And we have two within our community. I'm only building 1/3 of the size. West of me, there's a garage structure, and then there's a second garage structure that would be 1/4 of what I'm trying to build. So we have two structures already that are been permitted, that were actually permitted because they had to get setbacks and everything, because what happened was they were actually put in there illegally. And then what happened, they had to come back when they tried to do improvements. I came here in good faith. I'm trying to do it correctly. I didn't want to try to get over on anybody, and that's what I'm here for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the
Yeah,
applicant?
I need clarification, because in front of the planning board, the issue was stowage of furniture. And there was nothing said about the size of the pump. And so the planning board made their decision saying that it wasn't a hardship. The stowage of furniture was not a hardship. And, like everybody else, you just throw the furniture in the pool during a hurricane, so it doesn't bother anybody. But so I'm thinking back at what they were looking at. What was the planning board looking at? And they were looking at that. It said, so they made a decision that the 4x4x4 was adequate, but there was nothing in there about the size of the pumps. It was, the argument was they needed more room for furniture. And the planning board said, that's not a necessary hardship. So they put the requirement in there, 4x4. So I'm not sure. I didn't see anything there about the size of the pump. I didn't see
Just to let you know, the other two structures that were mentioned, like I said, they were garages, and I don't know, one does park his car in the garage. The other one's vacant because that's the house that's vacant for 5 years. But again, they're structures, they're secondary structures, and they were permitted, and variances were given, and those properties are actually under the 9,000 square feet. So that was my argument, but they came back and told me those don't matter. Well, my legal attorney says they do matter. Okay, you can't give to one and not give to the other one, especially in a community of 24 homes. I mean, I'm not asking for anything special. I'm not even building larger. Like I said, I'm building 1/3 of one property west of me and 1/4 size that's actually west north of me. There's two big garages in there. I mean, do yourself a favor and look at the satellite photos of it. I mean, I don't have them here. I guess I'm not allowed to show them because it wasn't brought up earlier. But you could look at the satellite. There's two, like I said, there's one west of me, the one that complained that I can't build a structure, but she has a garage, but I can't build one.
Any questions for the applicant while he's up? Question from Mr. Hadid. In regards to that comment that did we review other variances? Has the county issued other variances in that would contradict this ruling, or?
That's better addressed by Mr. Mengel.
I was looking, if you saw me while Mr. Royer was making his testimony, this, that I recall, did not come up at the planning board about the two other structures. Maybe I missed it at either the January or the February meeting. I think the minutes reflect that too.
Two other structures
that Mr. Royer's mentioning are the other offending parties. And so the short answer is we didn't research anything, because we didn't have anything to research that came up. And the other part to emphasize, and we've always held to this, variances themselves are particular to the piece of property. And so we don't make broad brush,
right.
Even throughout a development. This is a lot of record. We've established that. It does have a lot of record setbacks that pertain special to the principal dwelling, not to accessories. So the accessories have to meet the RC zoning district requirements. That's why those 25-foot side street side setbacks come into play with this one because the pool deck, street enclosure, whatever may come later on top of that pool deck, all would have to meet that 25-foot street side setback, the minimum setback there. So that, that to the degree that was mentioned, that was reviewed, I don't recall the other two structures coming into play or any mention of other variances that have been granted. Each property itself has to rise or fall on its own.
So if it's allowed within RC, but the covenants and restrictions exclude it, when it's submitted as a permit application and you're reviewing it, how is that reviewed?
So specific for the folks making the statement about a 4-foot-high wall or fence, if they were to apply for a 6-foot-high wall or fence, that would meet our zoning requirements. And so we would issue a permit for the 6-foot. Covenants and restrictions are not enforced by the county. And that's something just for some owner to take on their own. If they put in something that's in contravention of a covenant restriction, those are privately enforced.
Interesting. Okay. Was there ever a pump diagram submitted for review?
No, sir. I don't think at this point it's probably safe to say, and I think that's also safe to say that at the point for the planning board's record, there was no pool plan other than the rectangle that you saw that was submitted, and so very, very preliminary at this point. Okay. And just for everybody's edification, Mr. Royer said it. A unique situation here maybe, as opposed to other variance requests, this is a before-the-fact variance. So if that weighs in any, he hasn't constructed something that he's seeking forgiveness for, this is a before-the-fact variance where he's actually asking for permission.
Well, I know in these past, as we act as appellant, we've ruled on whether there was adequate evidence for the planning board to rule. I can recall one recently where we sent it back because they didn't meet the 8 points. There wasn't information submitted on those. That's a different type of review, but could it be done the same way, whereas the information that you talked about, or the fact that we're setting parameters for a pump station, but a pump diagram wasn't submitted, so we don't really know if it fits that or not? We would be imposing a restriction that might not be doable if there's specialized equipment. That's the only thing I'm worried about is could planning board have, with the information they had, restricted the easement to that 4-foot height, 4x4 by 4-foot height, without knowing what the applicant had in mind? Now, applicant should have probably submitted that, but
that's not our job today.
No, we're looking at evidence. If the planning board had
that's
sufficient...
new evidence.
But we can rule if they had sufficient evidence at the time for their ruling. We haven't had any...
If I could add in that, and I think you hit on a key part without, even though I've been saying covenants and restrictions don't matter to us, the planning board, as I recall, did hear the testimony that the 4-foot height was a limitation in the development. And so I think that's where the 4-foot height came in, because the wall of this pump house is integrated, I believe as it was described, with the wall of the pool deck along its south edge. So
it's acting as it because it's right on...
Correct. So where it extends from the southwest corner of the home, it will extend then all the way through to the road right-of-way, and then the wall itself would continue on. So where there was that described, that this will show it better. Oh, let me go back a few. I think I don't have, oh, there it goes. Thank you.
I'm just thinking if the planning board had a little bit more detail on the pool and the pool pump, there could have been a better discussion on where it actually could be placed.
I'd counter that, I think this was as far as its placement, and if you see the dimensions are not 4 by 4 by 4. The dimensions are actually shown as 6 by 12 with a 4-foot height. And so the planning board did not impose a 4 by 4. They imposed a 4-foot height.
4-foot height?
And so that's what came out of this. And I'll look to Mr. Moylan, since he was there to see if he agrees, I think I've just read that to you, that the planning board said it should be behind the wall and no higher than 4 feet. This was what was approved by the planning board, this graphic, but no higher than 4 feet. And so that, to me, the takeaway was they had heard others say 4-foot high wall. This would then not be visible. The pump house itself would not extend above that wall as was being described before, where we're going to have a sloped roof. Neighbors wouldn't even see it because it would be no higher than 4 feet with dimensions of whatever that is that's shown there. So we got 18, 6, 12.78 times. I'm thinking that's 6 feet the other way, and then 4 feet in height. And so I guess, Mr. Chairman, in response to...
So it is just 4 foot height. My mistake on the other
no.
4x4, you're right. No taller than 4 foot in height.
And I think for the planning board to be able to make a determination on the adequacy of the pump house to accommodate the pumps that are intended with the pool, we'd have to have the entire pool designed.
Yeah.
And so that if you want to remand that back...
No, I think there's
homework.
plenty. I think...
So I have a question on
Oh,
that.
go back. So you had it right there, too.
That was Mr. Royer's in his application.
The appellant owner states, the pool pump house shed was submitted and was denied and granted for a 4x4x4. That's his words, not what was in the documents. Right. Okay. That's where I saw it from. That's why I was thinking that. Okay. So that's not what's in the record. I just looked and the staff report says just 4 foot height, didn't mention the other parameters. So there should be plenty of room to construct a pump facility in that limitation.
I would say so, but again, not knowing the full complexity of the pump system, I understand that. I think that's a valid concern.
So I have a question. Should a board recommendation be a denial, could he apply for a variance? Should he provide more information regarding his pump structure?
I think
in future.
I'm nodding because
this variance.
there's no bar that would be out there that would prevent him from applying again, or for something that's substantially different or provides additional information. So as he's limited right now, it would be the 4 foot height along with the other variances that were granted. Short answer back to you is that he could apply in the future as more information is available for that. If he demonstrates then that there's a hardship from the height limitation that's provided previously by the planning board. I think you're correct. Yes, ma'am.
If he moved it off of the front, right, do you have a diagram of that corner? Right there. So if he actually moved it off of the line so that it's not consistent with the front of the house, right? Because you could construct the fence in that, right? My thought process is the building is consistent with a fence because it's right on the line, but if you set it back off of there, it's no longer acting as such.
The problem I think that we also had, the planning board had expressed it, is that if it extended then over, remembering that on that side, I don't think you have the critical consideration from the front street along the south edge. It's more critical along Mockingbird Lane because you actually have a 25-foot street side setback that applies there to any accessory structure that's placed within that street side. And so, you know, it may be a unique situation here. Maybe we didn't emphasize it enough when we said it. There's no rear yard. The only place for him to be able to put something like this is in his side yard. And his side yard's tight because it's also a street side. He's a corner lot. And so he has that 25 feet to work within. But that's where we granted the variance already for that street side. It's not a front issue. Moving it further north, my thought doesn't help because you still have the setback from the west side that was granted previously. I think I know what you're saying. By at least you're gaining some by pushing it away from the fence. So visually, you're pushing it back. I don't know if that materially would make much of a difference.
I mean, again, we're not here to modify what's here. I understand. But we don't ours doesn't regulate height. It's just the covenants and restrictions that regulates height.
On walls or fences, both do. So we have a 6 foot maximum height outside of the minimum setbacks. So the other part is if you're within that front setback, which this would be along that line, the maximum height would be 4 feet. And so that I think initially had talked about having a 6-foot allowed height on the wall, came back and they said, okay, they're not interested in doing that. And so, 4 feet then is the maximum height you could have along any front property line, this being double front, maximum height you have. Sheds and those things, accessory structures in the residential zoning districts have a height that can go as high as the main structure, but if it goes higher than 12 feet, it's meeting the setback requirements for the main structure. And so 12 feet is the critical, always measuring mean roof height, the mean of the between the crown and the bottom of the eave measured at the front of the structure.
I think the point that I keep coming back to is this is a variance. We're not proposing this in a normally allowable area.
Correct.
So some
That's
of
right.
these restrictions are because of the fact that this is in an area where it's not normally allowable, and that's why the variance here is taking place. So,
Mr. Mengel, could you back up to the photograph, please, the one prior to this?
This is the side view facing east, and then this is that back side where Mr. Royer had stated, this is that where he's saying it's framed in plywood. It didn't make sense for him. So then if you look there, that's that area where the concrete slab at that northwest corner, kind of just off to the right of top center, where it says old porch framed. What he's showing there is that, and what had come up is could a pump house be placed back there? Pump house being proposed out of concrete block. If he put that up next to the wood framing, his testimony, and I understand what he's saying, is just he's asking for problems because of future wood rot that's going to happen.
Of course. I'm just trying to take my vision of the actual picture rather than this. So that pergola there
Right.
is what would be replaced.
And we talked about that option as saying, okay, could you shift that pump house to the north? Then we'd have it along the rear line. You see it's not going to impose on any windows or doors there, but it's abutting a portion there where
It's limited space, period.
Well, that yes, certainly. I think overall that's what's in play here.
Okay.
Are there permitting requirements for the covenants restrictions? There's no place in that, so it would just be a civil suit.
Correct. Yeah, typically they're enforced with the courts.
Right. So again, the three things that we are determining is whether the planning board's decision was supported by competent substantial evidence, whether due process was accorded, and whether the essential requirements of law, primarily the 4 criteria for variances within the LDC, have been observed.
Yes, sir.
I think my only question remaining, Mr. Hadid, I heard what Mr. Ringel said, but would the planning board knowing about or not having the knowledge of secondary structure and heights within that subdivision, would that have been evidence that they could potentially need to have heard or?
It certainly could have been presented. The fact is it was not.
It was not.
And so you want to know, I think,
Would that be a
whether
reason to
we can
remand?
Remand for them to consider that and reevaluate. That to me would lie in your discretion as to whether they have fully vetted the application for variance.
Well, my question is, the 4x4x4 is not the correct term.
Right.
We only limited it to 4 feet. So then my question for the applicant is, the way you've drawn it, does that have enough room for your equipment?
The way
It's quite a bit bigger. I mean, it's 4 feet high, but it's quite a bit bigger.
Well, just to let you know what happened, we started with a workshop, and we were going back and forth trying to come up with a size in the beginning. Originally, I wanted to go bigger, and so then we decided on the setbacks, and then I came up with a 6x12. The wall was going to be 8 feet high on the original. It was going to be on, like he said in my testimony and in my approval of my application, was it was going to be on the southwest corner, and then I would have 6 feet between the house. And in the conversation, I was asked why I want so much space between the house, and I said, I'm a retired firefighter, and I don't want the structure to burn and catch my house on fire. And then they wanted me to move it to the other side, which, we come to find out it's a porch area, and I don't want to build a permitted building. And I also explained the reason I'm building at a block, and according to the shed applications, under 100 square feet, that building's going to be a tie down. It's going to be tied down to the foundation. And I explained, I want to be able to put my pool furniture and everything in this structure when we have hurricane season, and I'm building at a block. It'll be tied down, and my roof will be hurricane permitted. It'll be the same pitch. Everything's going to match. It's not going to be hideous at all. It's not going to hinder anybody. It's not going to take the views from anybody from the ocean, the river. I mean, I don't understand where this is going. I got
one question for you. I have a question for Mr. Mangle.
Go ahead.
So if he's submitting an application for this structure, in addition to his pool plan, and he submits this structure, what is the height requirement for this structure within that is outside of the variance, right? So we're making a variance so he can construct a structure, but what is the maximum height that he would be allowed for the structure?
So if we have the variance still has to be in play for the side setbacks. So if the side
Right.
setbacks are in play,
Well, the variance is setting the boundaries. The new variance is setting the boundaries. So within that new boundary, what would the height limitation be for his building?
I think I'd probably say first and foremost it's as the planning board said it, because it is at least the one of the elements of the shed conforms. Maybe this goes to your earlier question. One of the elements of the shed, one of the walls of the shed is part of the fence or wall surrounding the pool and pool deck. So that
But you said
by
we're not to
integrating
consider the covenants and restrictions. We're not to consider that.
Wasn't even saying that. I'm just
Okay.
saying if part of ours, if the back part's part of fence or wall, our restrictions are 4 feet, because it's although at that edge, because that's back of the front setback, it could be it's because it's on 25 feet on the other side, it's still 4 feet. If you're putting that wall or fence inside of the front a setback, you can go up to 6 feet. But in this case, because of it needed the relief on the street side to the west, that entirety of it of that fence or wall is within that minimum street setback. 4 feet's the highest, because part of that structure is integrated into the wall or fence. My answer would be 4 feet. So where you were asking me earlier, if he set it back some distance from that,
So
was
if we
it part of the wall or-
if we support the planning board, he can come back with a different plan.
He can. He can
Okay.
come back. He can ask for another variance. Maybe where you're heading now, where you'd asked me before, if he moved it off of that fence or wall, could he go
Right.
higher? Planning board had not considered that.
Okay.
He could go up to potentially 12 feet. Could go higher than 12 feet, because then it would still be subject then to the setbacks of the main structure, and you'd still need variances to place that structure within the minimum street side setback.
I think you answered my question. Thank you.
Hope so. Thank you.
I'd like to say one more.
Quickly, yep, we're going to go to public comment.
The only thing I wanted to say is I'm going to be under the 10 feet, okay? The other two structures are actually at 10 feet plus. They're actually at their height of their roof peak. My roof peak of my structure is 15-something, okay? I'm not going 15-something. I'm actually trying to level it up to the front of the house, okay? I'm not going higher than the front of the roof, and it's going to match the same pitch, so it's all gonna, I wish I could show the other pictures. I spent a lot of money on it, but But besides that, I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
All right, great. All right, at this time, I'll open up for public comment if there's anybody from the public that wishes to speak. Now's the time. You state your name. You have to go into the microphone. Pull that down so we can hear you. There you go.
Here we go. My name is Nancy Walls. I'm the owner of the property at 7 Pelican Lane. And I really am just here to say that we support the planning board's recommendation. A lot of information has been given out here regarding my property that I feel is incorrect. But that's not the issue here. So that is my main purpose. And to say, really, I don't think that you can quite envision what he's doing. From the pieces that he's put together, I can conceive of a 1,000 cubic foot billboard that is right beside his house. And he's given us nothing to say that it won't look like that. And of course, who would want that? We're the corner lot right across from him. And again, we're sympathetic with his desire. We just are concerned about the size and location. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public speakers that wish? Yeah, I guess, as planning board member, Mr. Mangle could, no, they're going to say no. All right, good catch. Any other questions for staff, for the applicant? Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move we deny the appeal.
I'll second.
I have a motion to deny, motion to deny by Commissioner Hanson, seconded by Commissioner Carney. And denying keeps in place the planning board. Okay. Okay. So clarify for Mr. Hanson for his motion.
I deny the appeal because on the basis that the Planning Development Board's decision was supported by competent, substantial evidence, and the due process was accorded to the applicant, and the essential requirements of law, primarily the 4 criteria for variances within the LDC, have been observed.
Okay. Would you like to amend your second?
I'll amend the second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Commissioner Hanson, seconded by Commissioner Carney. Any final questions? All right, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. It does not stop you from reapplying. Is there a time limit in reapplying? Okay. No, you would have to reapply and bring additional evidence or modify the plan. Mr. Hadid, anything else on this? We're good?
You're good. Thank
Okay.
you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, that does it for our items for today. We will go to the county administrator for a report.
I don't have anything, sir.
Thank you. Attorney report.
Yes, Chair. I wanted to ask the commission if there was any interest in accepting a offer of settlement for attorney's fees regarding the Old Dixie Highway case, and I'll just explain a little bit. As you know, we're in a good spot now after several years of slogging through the litigation. We did get a final judgment. The court has reserved jurisdiction for attorney's fees. The building itself is down, and the debris is being sorted through and removed. So all that is good, and assuming they do complete the demolition by removing all the materials, close out the permit, the only remaining issue left will be the attorney's fees. The court has upheld the validity of our contract with the hotel owners, and that contract provided for attorney's fees to the county should the county have to sue, which is indeed what happened. We have an obligation under the rules of the Florida Bar to bring to you any good faith offer of settlement. So I'm not commenting on the wisdom of it so much as letting you know, hey, this offer was made. We've accumulated, since these owners came along, we've accumulated close to $76,000 in attorney's fees. They are interested in some finality and getting past this case finally. And the offer they've made is to give us $50,000 up front and then 10 monthly payments of $4,000, which would then give us a total of $90,000 from them. Now, they specifically said they would, as part of this structured settlement, that they would secure our interest in those attorney's fees with a mortgage lien. If this commission has any interest in accepting this offer, I would suggest countering that, again, if you're interested, that you would counter and say, no, we don't want a mortgage lien, we want a judgment lien. That would involve less procedures and hassles in effectuating it. We're still going to have to prove up our attorney's fees in court if you decline this and go through the judicial sale process anyways. And so I'm happy to answer any clarifying questions you may have. But in a nutshell, they wanted to pay $50,000 up front and the other $40,000 over a period of 10 months.
Do you, will this be something that we put on the agenda for you to come back with the details if we give you direction?
If you'd like it as an agenda item, we can certainly do that. Would that be, I suppose that would be so that the public can have a chance to
Well, I didn't know
weigh-
if we give you enough direction, then we would not need to put it on the
Oh,
agenda.
that's correct. We wouldn't need anything further. If there's a clear indication from the board of how you'd like us to proceed, then this would suffice.
So settling pushes the finality to, instead of continuing to seek remedy, and you're saying that the being it's secured by a mortgage lien would be our safety net in case they go back to past practices.
Yes, right. They haven't had a good track record that we can trust them with. What I'm suggesting is a mortgage lien is good, but a judgment lien would be even better, and that's what I think we would want to counter with.
Mr. Chair, I have a comment to make. As far as a mortgage, we're not a bank. And I don't think we should be holding a mortgage on anything, especially with the time sensitive it took to get to the demolishing of the facility. I think we need to collect our
So the judgment lien?
and to put an end to the mayhem of this continual circle of trying to get money and trying to get things done. I just don't see us as holding a mortgage, especially there was not even an office of interest. We'd be holding money for free. I don't know a bank that'll do that anyway. So time sensitive and all that, absolutely don't believe that that's in our best interest as a county.
Okay. Other comments?
I don't see the math that way. So 76 is our cost right now, is our out-of-pocket right now for legal fees.
Yes, with these current owners. There was, in addition, some costs we incurred prior to them coming on board, and I believe that was in the neighborhood of $17,000. But if we were going through the court system, these new owners, they have no contractual obligation to pay somebody else's fees. I think they're just looking to get this behind them, finally.
So the net would be 90,000. 50,000 now, and then 4,000 a month for 10 months.
Yes.
Is 90,000.
Correct.
So there is some interest being paid or some recognition that time sensitivity of money, right?
Right.
Okay.
When would the 50,000, what kind of a deadline would there be on paying us the 50,000?
Well, we would enter into a stipulation with them through the court, because we'd have to close it out in the court, and we would spell out then, within X number of days, within 7 days, within 15 days, something rather immediate.
I agree with the chairman. Their record is not real good.
It is not.
So are there other liens on that property currently?
We don't know right now.
Because that would be my stipulation, is I would not want to go into a second lien position
Yes, and
without knowing what the, how much they've pledged to collateral and what are, 'cause we may
right.
be out
That
altogether
is
on the-
that is sort of a black hole in our understanding right now. If you were to decline this order, we do have a final judgment on the books, and we can seek to get a writ from the court that would allow us to go ahead and just proceed to the judicial sale, and that would involve some title work and some notices from the clerk and things. There's a process to it, but we are in a good position here. We have all the leverage. And so there's pros and cons to either approach.
And what would happen if they chose to stop those payments that they said they would do? We'd have to pursue more legal fees and more. I'd rather terminate the relationship as quickly as we could financially, to finish the financing up on that as quick as possible.
So the proposal is an 11-month agreement in essence, right? 10 months at 4,000 and the first payment. What is if we decline, what's the alternate path that we're?
Okay, so if you decline, then we just proceed under the final judgment already on the books, where the court reserved jurisdiction for attorney's fees. We would have to set a hearing to establish that our hourly rate is reasonable and the amount of hours was reasonable. They could attempt to object and whittle down the fees that we're asking for, but eventually there would be some writ issued by the court that would allow us to proceed to judicial sale, assuming they just don't pay us our attorney's fees. We would at the hearing, we would have an expert who knows what attorney's fees are supposed to be based on the level of experience and complexity of the case, and they would on the record testify as to the reasonableness. So we'd have to establish those fees and then enforce the judgment. Oh, keep in mind too, commissioners, there are fines involved here, $115,000 because of their contempt of the court. And we view that in our office as something between them and the court. If they want to get any sort of relief, we don't want to say, oh yeah, sure, court, you can forgive that. It's up to them to convince the court that it wasn't willful or that there's some mitigating reason that they should get relief from that. But if the court is not inclined to grant them relief, it would also be part of the judicial sale. That is, we get bids on the property. We would be paid our attorney's fees. The court would be paid its fines. And if there is any surplus, it would be returned to those owners.
So if we add up the different penalties and fees that are owed, it's more than 90, significantly.
Yes.
I think one of the concerns I'm hearing is we would like a single, at least on my end, a single lump sum settlement. I don't know that carrying this out on this payment plan just continues this process. I don't like that myself.
No.
I would never agree to this unless I was first lien on the day it filed into the.
So it sounds like
office.
if there's consensus for them to make another offer.
And I like the judicial sale, where we get our money, court gets their money, and they get the rest.
Okay.
I think that's the fairest thing to do. Who would be the individual or group that would actually sell the property?
It's actually done through the court itself.
Through the court itself.
Yes.
Okay. That seems like the fairest thing to do.
Understood. As I said, we do have an obligation to bring you any good faith offers of settlement. It'll be up to them if they want to make a lump sum offer or not. Otherwise, we will proceed to pursue our fees through the court.
Okay. I think you have our direction.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. All right, at this time, I'll go back out for community comment. This is our second community outreach segment, 30-minute time period for public comment. If anybody wishes to address the commission on anything, any items. All right, seeing none, we'll bring it back for closing reports. So for commission reports, Commissioner Richardson.
Love that it rained yesterday. That's
Absolutely.
my report. Let's just hope for a little more rain when we're sleeping at night. It'd be great. That's it.
I have two things. And Chair, if you're going to discuss this, just let me know, and then I can move on. I'd like to talk about the attorney search that we're undertaking.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So after our last meeting, we received an email from Mr. Hadid. Mr. Hadid put in writing that he is somewhat flexible, other than he cannot remain as lead counsel until he cannot serve in that role after October 1st. I would like to see us extend. I don't know that we have a contract or we have to do anything other than to ask him to stay on his personal calendar, to stay committed to the county until September 30th. Is there anything paper-wise or comment to Mr. Hadid or commitment from him that he can stay?
I don't have an issue if that's,
Well, I've only gotten 3
I think
applications.
it's really just an HR issue. He would need to submit, his termination date would be moved 30 days. Is that what you're saying?
Actually, I think right now it's July 1st or August 1st. September, October, 2 months, 60 days.
It's currently what date, Mr. Hadid?
August 1, you have to submit a formal notice to FRS as to when you're retiring. I have not submitted that yet. So based on the conversation that the board previously had, I wanted to let you know that I'm committed to the most smooth transition possible.
So the
And
concern,
I'm
if we
willing to
go back to the,
I'm willing to go to October 1.
understood.
In other words, that'd be the day of retirement. I don't even know if it falls on I don't know what day of the week that falls on, but.
Right, so really, if I remember correctly, it was because of the schedule that we had and
Yes.
that there was concern if there was, that there may not be enough time for you to do training if it was a new hire. That, and clarify, am I remembering correctly?
It was to facilitate a smoother, better transition. That's why I didn't want you all to think that the August 1 was in concrete.
so it's an option. So, and he hasn't submitted his paperwork, so we might as well if he's.
When were you submitting your paperwork?
I'm not required to submit it until, no later than 30 days prior to the official date of retirement. That is the state requirement.
Should we bring back the timeline? I don't have any of the paperwork from the timeline we had before.
I'm not so concerned about the timeline. I think if we can capture the 60 days, we need to capture the 60 days, whether it's training, whether it's onboarding, whether it's, the timeline was close to begin with, very aggressive timeline. We've had 3 applications. I don't want to be rushed. Oh, we now have a 4th. I'm sorry. I must have missed one. And just to give us some time, I mean, it's just a timing thing.
I don't think it's necessary, but
I think just maybe you would allow the board to know before you submit your paperwork, if we're still in a position that we need to retain him, we can have the discussion before you.
right.
I think it's something we may have to entertain.
Yeah, I'm not ready to do anything right now. And I think 2 months is not necessary.
I did have a question to piggyback on this. I don't recall this, and someone asked in the public, so this is why I'm asking this. Did we ever discuss as a board, and I don't think we did we want to entertain hiring a firm to provide a full-time attorney? Did we ever want to entertain that? I think the city does that. Some of the cities do
we
that
never
now.
discussed
A lot of
it.
municipalities do that.
And I guess there's a cost savings to that, I guess. But I'm only asking, was that something we ever thought to entertain, or?
I didn't.
I
I mean,
don't-
we've got 2 competent staff, and we're looking for, really a third is all we're looking for.
Yeah.
To replace Mr. Adid.
Yeah, I'm a lot more comfortable having our own
In-house?
in-house guy.
Okay.
I'm very comfortable.
Anyone? No, we're good? It was
Well,
just
does that mean
ask, and
an
I don't-
in-house person being interim for a time until we find an attorney?
I
Yes,
guess
we
this
can
is
do that.
something, and I'm not familiar with other city governments have been doing, which is hiring a firm who provides an attorney for that role.
You're talking about
They have a
providing-
team. They have one representative, but
And we
then
get
they have the support.
services. Did we need that? Do we feel we want that?
I don't.
Would it change?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
I worked under it in Flagler Beach. It worked fine in Flagler Beach. I think it just depends upon the budget, and it depends upon the level of expertise needed in a city. Well, I'm sure in Palm Coast, it's a big city. Just depends upon the coverage that you want, and if you want to control your costs, because most definitely a firm would be less expensive option than having a staff attorney. They usually bill per time segment, just like, any private lawyer would do. And then they usually have a standard contracted amount to provide so many meetings and so many travel times into the jurisdiction. But I'm not opposed to it. I'm just concerned that this search is going to take longer than what we anticipate. But
And do you lose your communication with the opportunity to have more one-to-one conversations with the same person than rather with a group of, a larger group of of different minds doing the same job? Do you lose continuity with the flow of what what your concerns are? That's the other
Well, you
question.
lose the ability of just walking in and having a discussion. That goes away.
Well,
'Cause you don't have
even a
somebody-
one-to-one,
Pick up the
I talk to
phone.
this
Yeah.
guy, and the next, tomorrow I talk to this woman, and the next, you may not have the same continuity with your discussions. That's happened in some portions.
I'll table the thought, and if we need it because we can't find the candidate or something, it's there. I only brought it up. It was a question asked by the public because other municipalities
It's a good
seem to have
thought.
moved to that
It's
model.
not a bad thought.
How
It's
about we just have at
discussion on a workshop?
In 2 weeks, we just have an update
See where
from,
we're at.
from HR.
That
and then
sounds
we'll-
good.
We'll bring it back under discussion.
Got it.
Yeah,
All
the
right.
floor is still yours.
Yep, I got it. And the second item is if I could ask our administrators to update this for us. This is the amended capital improvement program 2025. I'd like to see all completed projects in highlighted yellow. I'd like to see those in progress in highlighted fuchsia. And I'd like to see the ones that haven't started yet in highlighted blue. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I go back to the attorney thing one more time?
Absolutely.
Just a suggestion to HR that when they get a new applicant, would it give us the number? Say we now have 4, or this is the 4th or this is the 5th, just so we know, because I was confused until I got them all up, but now I don't know. I think that would be hell. If we get another one, just say, this is the 5th.
Okay.
This is the 6th.
I'm confused. When I see that certain program show up, I open it, but it takes me about 15 minutes to figure out where I really want to look. And half the time I can't remember where to go back to it. It's a very confusing. I know you tried your best, sir, but it's a tough one tough screen to break through. Thank you.
Commissioner Pennington.
I'm going to save comments so we can get a break in between workshop.
Okay. Commissioner Hanson.
Just it was a great songwriters festival this weekend, which we're getting ourselves on the map as far as songwriters festivals, and it was really well done.
All right, I'll just close with congratulations, Mr. Seeger, on your ribbon cutting and the airport. Good to have that underway, and also have the landing strip back in operation. And thanks again to tourism for putting on the Trails Day. It was a good collaboration with the city of Palm Coast. And I think everybody I tried to do a last minute email to see if anybody was available to come out to the crosswalk analysis. So the Best Foot Forward program did their crosswalk analysis out at Gamble Rogers. It was fascinating to watch. And props to Chief Downey for being the guinea pig for walking out in front of 45-mile-an-hour traffic. But he did a great job, and hopefully we'll get some of those results back too. But and they did other stops, even though they weren't advertised. I know Royal Palm and the down at Town Center near Old Kings Road, that one was done, and another one in the city limits. So that data should be coming back to us as well.
US 1, I don't know if Chief can confirm, I got an alert, is closed northbound, all US 1 for fire.
Okay.
So does that sound right? US 1's closed northbound for semi-truck fire? Yep.
Okay. Thank you. So hopefully,
In case anyone's leaving here, don't take US 1. Just now.
With that, any other reports? All right, I'll see everybody back at 1. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move we adjourn.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.